Hello, welcome back to Reads of an Apple. My name is Stacy, and today I'm here to start week 30 of 2023. It is just after 8:30 Sunday night. I feel a little bit like I'm a wreck. It has been a busy day. It's been a busy weekend. I've had a lot of to-do lists. And I've done a good portion of it. Some of it I feel like I don't have as much done as I typically would have at this point of the weekends, but there is some stuff that I intentionally am holding off on till Monday or Tuesday during the week, because there were some things that I needed to get done in order before I can even approach doing those. So I'm just like, it's fine. We're good. But overall, I'm pretty happy. There's also been quite a few reading sprints for the Little Cafe Readathon, and I've tried to participate in as many of them as I can. So I at least have been hitting like the 1 o'clock one, and then they've been having them at 6 o'clock, from like 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and then there's a 45-minute to an hour and a half one at 9 p.m. So that is coming up soon. So hopefully this will be a fairly fast update, although usually my first clip of the week takes forever because there's a lot to catch up on. So we will just jump into it right away. Hi, are you done eating your dinner? You have cat food on your nose. Can you please clean yourself? So, now that the cat is done distracting, not done, she will probably distract me again, but let's do the quest calendar first. So if this is my first weekly vlog that you are watching, I have been playing the quest calendar. It is created by Sundial Games. This is a daily calendar with Saturdays and Sundays combined. Fun fact, Sundial Games is a Colorado-based company, so it's fun to like support local. Although they're down in Colorado Springs and I'm up in northern Colorado, but still, they're close enough, right? The game is basically a tabletop role-playing game. It is D20 based, similar to Dungeons and Dragons, D20 Modern, Pathfinder, you kind of understand. The theme for 2023 is the Voidspark Chronicles, which is, as you could probably tell from the artwork, sci-fi space opera set. So think Firefly, Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica. I'm sure you get the idea. It is super fun. I will have their website linked down below. They just wrapped up the Kickstarter for the 2024 edition, which we're kind of going back into the fantasy realm with that. But it seems like it'll be like woodsy and little creatures that are like sentient, like you can play as like a weasel and things like that. So I'm super excited. I have enjoyed. This is the second year that I've been doing the quest calendar, and it is so much fun. I love playing it. So if you are into gaming and you are like myself and not currently in with a gaming group and still want to do some solo-ish gaming that's not like a huge undertaking, this is, I think, perfect for that. Now, I do get the more deluxe version, as I throw things all over the floor here. That includes the Hero Companion book. I highly recommend this. They are moving forward starting next year, having like an app option. But this book has all of, if you play one of the base pre-created characters, it has all of their stats leveled up. There's very minimal transference you have to do, or like upgrades you have to do yourself, which makes it super nice. I mean, it's mostly just stats, but like all of the different skills and more lengthy descriptions of things that you have to worry about are already done. They did make some changes for the 2023 version, which I am loving. They have changed to landscape, and this is the character sheet for our ship, and these are for the ship and for our equipment list. But they have these reusable stickers for upgrades and equipment, and that's also super nice. So I'm super intrigued to see what they bring about next year. They have already teased some new mechanics that involve a deck of playing cards, so I'm intrigued to see how that's gonna work. But I highly recommend the game. Okay, so here is the character that I have been playing at. Her name is Zarilla Tur, and she is an Urzen Mystic. So Urzen is the race, Mystic is the class. We are currently level 4. Okay, so before we go into actually playing the game, if you haven't seen this before, I'll just do a quick rundown. Here's where we left off on Friday. So most pages have almost the full page of artwork. All of the script type font will be the story that I will read out. Everything that's usually in a box in this block style font will be the mechanics that we have to use to play through that day's story. If it's a combat page, there will be like a table in a shadowed box that will tell you how many rounds, how many creatures, that, and what type of dice you'll have to roll. So it's all pretty explanatory, and everything that you need to play on that day's page is on the back, as you can see, of the previous day's page. So you cannot spoil yourself, which is fun. So let's just get into it. Like I mentioned, Saturdays and Sundays are combined. So Friday we left off, we are heading to a new planet. We are trying to save a scientist who was stolen by some rebels who are actually like bad rebels, not good rebels like in Star Wars, and save her. So we are heading to a new planet because we are trying to get closer to where we think she might have been taken. So it looks like we just... straight on, we're just gonna go there. Friday, we were like, we're leaving, and here's the special warp portal, and now we're here, so that's fun. So we are at the city of Vix, and we are on the new planet Abramia. You arrive on Abramia, a jungle-covered planet. It is believed that Andy may have traveled to the city of Vix after escaping the lab. So Andy is the scientist who was stolen. So we're trying to see... I don't know. So I guess maybe we're hunting her down in the past, but we're still trying to rescue her too. But today is explore the city of Vix. Super cool. I love the green undertones. Cool. So let's just get into it. The Blue Bark Bed and Breakfast. Nestled low in the city rim, you find a quaint little mom and pop tavern. The owners insist they be called Mom and Pop while you stay there. You have the option to spend 5 credits to take a rest. I mean, we don't have that much HP we can heal, but you know what? We don't need to save money. We have so much money credits in this system that might as well. So that allows us to restore our health to full. Regain all expended uses of abilities, of which we have used 1. Regain all charges, spell, chi, and surge points. And then there's some death and different types of illnesses that you might have, but we don't have any of that. So I'll remove the 5 credits from our character sheet, and the health is the biggest thing that we're doing this for. And then we'll save our healing potions for like if we're in a situation where we need it to. So... the Blue Bark Bed and Breakfast meals to go. Mom and Pop also offer delicious home-cooked meals made from grubworms and insect protein. So these are meal rations that are 1 credit. We still have 5 meal rations, which is where I like to keep us at. So we are fine for now. Okay. Ayler's Armament. A storefront displaying holographic weaponry and armor draws your attention. It looks like they offer some quality wares. So there's a combat tonic, which adds a D4 to all attack rolls, a sonic grenade, which adds a D4 to all damage rolls, and a shield battery, which adds 2 defense for the page. Those type of things I don't typically use. So I'm just not going to worry about it, even though we don't really need to worry about saving our money. But I don't use those type of things with the way that this system kind of works. So I think we're okay. So on to the final place that we can visit. Church of Quantum Faith. A small store has been converted into a place of worship and learning for both members and for those who are interested in learning about the Church of the Quantum Faith. An alien with 3 eyeballs and a forked tongue preaches the good word of his faith and asks for a donation outside the small cathedral. I mean, okay. Sure, we'll donate. So if you choose to donate to the church, remove X gold. We'll donate 5 credits. Might as well, you know. So, and it just says you choose how much you donate. So I'm just going to do 5. The Street Prophet thanks you for your donation and tells you all about how you live in the grace of good karma with your entangled half. It confuses you a bit, but you feel like you've done the right thing. Gain +1 virtue for donating 1 credit. Gain additional +1 virtue for every 5 credits donated after the first. So 6, 11, 16, etc. Our virtue is already at a max of +10. So we're just donating and getting good karma for our character, which is always great because, you know, karma is a cat purring behind your lap because that's where she is right now. So yeah. In case you were wondering, I made a new batch of iced tea this weekend. I did 2 bags of cinnamon stick tea and 1 bag of one of the Twinings holiday Christmas teas. It's the blue one because that one has like a chamomile, cinnamon, bergamot, and I think it has vanilla in it. So I added that just to kind of tone down the cinnamon, but I wanted the cinnamon to be super strong. This is like one of my new favorite iced teas. It's spicy without being like overboard. Like the cinnamon punches through, but it's not like eating a Red Hot. I am loving this, and I think this is something different, and I just love experimenting and making iced teas, and this I think has been one of my favorite batches that I've made, at the very least this summer. I don't write them all down. I just try to remember when I'm like, oh, I think I made that with that before and I like that. So, you know, maybe I should keep track of it. But in case you were wondering, that's the iced tea I've been drinking. And it's delicious. And I don't sweeten my teas, especially my cold teas. I just let them steep super long and leave it at that. So, let me just, oh, I forgot. Okay. So that is it for what is on the page. However, before we move on from the quest calendar, there is a new mechanic in this box right here called Sunday Lottery that you can play when you do your weekend page. What that is if you so choose, when you play it, you can roll a d6. If you roll a 1 or a 2, you lose a little bit of money. If you roll a 3 or more, you gain a little bit of money. So, you know, the odds are always there to do it. So I just do it. And hey, look at that, 6. So gain 4 credits. So effectively, we just lost 6 credits for that page. So that is great. All right. So I'm going to get my credits here changed. So while I'm wrapping up this, we will talk about books. Now, I'll touch base a little bit on this one first because it'll be super quick. I am still continuing the audiobook for Give Love a Try. Give Love Try? Yeah, Give Love a Try. I've only read a couple chapters since Friday. I've just been much more physically reading this weekend. And when I have been doing things where I could have been listening to something, I either was like editing videos and I just like to put on like instrumental music. Like I don't want anything else to distract me while I'm doing that. Or like when I was making breakfast this evening, I listened to the new Buzzing About Romance podcast. But I listened to it a little bit when I was like making food yesterday and when I was doing laundry. So I haven't read too much far in. I'm like at 50-something% now, so less than 10% read this weekend. But I definitely will plan on reading a little bit tonight while I get ready for bed. And then hopefully I can get through a good chunk tomorrow at work, although Mondays are super busy. But I'm still chugging along on it. I'm still super enjoying it, but not much more to add since I last updated you on it. So we'll do that first because that's a quick, like, get it done and out of my brain. So Thursday night, I started The Beauty in Scars by M.L. Philpitt. And yesterday morning during a reading sprint, I have finished it. I give it 5 stars. I think this is my favorite. It's tied with the first book, but I think this one gives it a little bit of a leg up. If you didn't see my beginning stuff, if you haven't seen, M.L. Philpitt is a newer author to me. I read the first 2 books in this series for the Mafia Romance Readathon, and I did vlog it, so I'll pop that up here if you have not seen that yet. But these are Mafia Romance fairy tale retellings. This one is Beauty and the Beast. Oh my gosh. And I did talk about it a little bit during last week's vlog, but this book was so good. It made me cry quite a bit. Just with Belle really dealing with the grief of her father's death, which is what happens right away in the book. We actually saw it in a previous book. And then during last week's vlog, I had a moment where I was like, I totally didn't realize when we met him previously that, you know, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, that his name was Maurice. And Maurice is Belle's father. But there are nods to the, specifically the Disney movies in these, which makes it even more fun. We've got 2 of like the soldiers underneath Raphael, who's a capo. For the Cressetti crime family are Lumiere and Cogs. Belle's nanny when she was growing up is Marie Potts, and she has a grandchild that she calls Chip, and I was just like, oh, it was just so much fun. Definitely, you know, the typical mafia warnings of like kidnapping and threatened essay, killing, you know, the typical mafia stuff. But also definitely grief over losing a parent. It really hit me, but it hit me because, you know, having not experienced it in that specific way, but just having suddenly lost a parent when it was, you know, entirely unexpected, and just feeling the shock of it, and then almost feeling like you're completely left alone. And while Belle was more left alone than I was, I definitely do have family members that are still living. The feelings that I had definitely made me feel like I was alone in the world for a very long time. And that hit deep. So it made me cry because it definitely, you know, I've talked about this before. Grief is something I'm very sensitive towards it being displayed properly in books. And there is mentions of it about being a wave and how sometimes you just need to keep yourself busy during the day. But then when you get home at night and, or you're like, once you go to bed, you can't like hold it back anymore and everything just takes over. And that really hit close and hit deep. And you know, I have been a little more in my head, and like I have been in a higher wave of grief about my mom recently. And so I don't know, I guess it just kind of felt like perfect timing. Not that I need the excuse to break down, but you know, I could tell myself it's because of the book, not because I'm like super sad right now, but it was both. But, you know, just fixing things in your brain or to make yourself feel better about a situation. I loved Isabel and Raphael together. I just really, really loved this book. It really touched me. I'm super intrigued to see what happens with book 4 moving forward. And book 4 just dropped, I think, last week. So I am ready for book 4. I did look at it, and book 4 is like 400 and something pages. So I might wait a little bit before I pick it up. However, I do want to talk to you about something that's not this book. I'm trying not to say too much because they all kind of bounce off of each other, and I'm not trying to I typically am not like spoiler or whatever, but I do think that there is an ongoing story here, and so like I can go super into, I don't know. I'm also trying to cut this short, so I'm like, what do I cut out? But I just love this book so much. But there was a note at the end of this book. There was a note at the beginning of this book, and then I was a little confused about, because it mentions there is a time jump in this book, but don't worry, everything will be explained about what happens in this like 3-day time jump in the next book. But she time jumped it, so we weren't spoiled about the situation that was going on. And I was just like, okay. So I was super nervous. I didn't know it was a 3-day time jump, but it really is like a 3-day time jump. I think she just mentioned a time jump in like the warnings in the beginning. And just like, don't worry, you didn't miss anything kind of a situation, which was super great that she popped that in there. But I'm not someone who typically time jumps bother me very much, but it fit in the story, and had it not been pointed out to me, I might not have really noticed what was happening outside of just some questions of what was going on in the background. But we get that normally anyway when these long interconnected, or maybe not long, but these interconnected standalone series. But I do want to say something. There is a thing that's brought up in this book. It's not a spoiler. We don't really deal too heavily with this. DeFalco is still the main, like, bad guy, so to speak, from, or I guess villain, from book 1. There is a note at the end of this that the DeFalco arc, I guess plot arc, will be wrapped up in book 4. Which makes sense, because book 5, she waited to announce what exactly book 5 was until after book 4 came out, so she didn't spoil anything that might have happened in book 4 if you read the blurb or whatnot. But book 5 is the Little Mermaid retelling, The Sound in Silence, which I have been waiting for that one because I saw that pairing being teased in book 1, so it is now book 5, and we still know nothing about what book 6 is. I thought there was, because book 5 for the longest time on all the different places was called just TSIS, the initials of the book, but book 6 still says it's untitled. And she already was like, it's been written, it's been through like beta edits, and I think second round edits or something like that. She's already started writing her new series, because book 6 is the last one in this one. And I'm just like, I have no idea what it's for. And I want to know, without reading the blurbs, I want to know like what retelling it is, because I'm just like, oh, I have so much. Like, I just like, which one is she going to choose? But as I go off on this tangent. But anyway, so we still don't know book 6. When I checked Goodreads, I thought it had an initial title, but it's just marked as untitled. But it should be out sometime either later this year or early 2024. The 5th book comes out in September, so I want to try to pick up the 4th book soon before the 5th book, and then I can read the 5th book as close as I can to it being dropped. Which, before I jump into my excitement of what else is happening, the other sister that is the sister to Rosalind, who's going to be the next book, and Della, who was the first book, their sister is still missing, and her name is Yasmin. So, I'm putting out my prediction now. I'm guessing book 6 is going to be Yasmin's book, maybe? And what does Yasmin make you think of? Aladdin. Like, are we going to get an Aladdin retelling for book 6? Like, I'm just like... So we've got Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. This one was Beauty and the Beast. Then we've got Rapunzel and The Little Mermaid. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm so excited. So anyway, as you can tell, she's a new favorite author of mine. I'm like fully on board. So in this book, we learn of a secret society that is called the Seven. They are all very rich and powerful. They are all connected to high-ranking officials. The series is set in Canada. M.L. Philpott is a Canadian author. And there's just kind of talk how they're the secret society. They have their hands in everything and they have their control over everywhere. However, they had some oversight and like a little too cocky of themselves. And so there is a discussion a little bit of how they are kind of pissed off at the Corsettis, even though the Corsettis don't know the Seven exist, because they kind of thought their power was like so good that they unintentionally left an opening in Montreal, and so the Corsettis have stepped in and like taken Montreal, and so now the Seven are like slightly aggravated that they own all of Canada except for Montreal, kind of a thing. But there's like special schools, so it's like kind of giving me Sophie Lark vibes a little bit, that they have this special college where they all go and they're all like secretly trained, and like it's a college, but they also have this extra training on top of their college, and they're all, I don't know, it's a thing. So at the end of everything, at the end of her book, I had to take a picture of it because I was so freaking excited. Coming 2024, 7 books, 7 sins. And it says a dark new adult academy romance series. So from best-selling author M.L. Philpott, releasing early 2024, 7 books. And it says add book 1 to your TBR here. So I clicked it and I like went to it, and it was just Untitled by M.L. Philpott, and I had already marked it as one to read. That is how obsessed I am with this new author. But then she has 4 bullet points. It says a few details. 1 is 7-book series. So bullet point 2 features the 7, the group introduced within this book. The 3rd bullet point, each book is inspired by a 7 sin, which, yeah. And then the 4th bullet point is they are not all MF romances. Now, I'm both excited and trepidatious about this, as long as it's not menage. Like, give me whatever MF, FF, whatever pairings. I just don't want to see a threesome. I don't want to see a menage. I'll probably still read it because I'm obsessed with this book and the spin-off series, but I just don't like it. And then she says, that's all I'll say for this on now. Official announcement coming the end of 2023, which is what makes me think we're going to get the last book in this series around the same time. And then 2024 will just be the kickoff of her new series. But this turned into an ML Philpott gush fest, but I can't help myself. I am enjoying her books so much. We also got to see Hawk a little bit more in this series, which is the older brother who kind of has defected from the family. But he's in her first, or not her first, but the series that kind of is spun off into this one. And I definitely need to go back and read that series. So if I catch up in this series, which hopefully I will, or I might wait until the series ends and then I'll go back. But I definitely want to dig into her backlist as well. So it looks like most of her stuff is dark romance. I did see there's like a witches trilogy. So that seems like paranormal, but I don't know if it's a dark paranormal. But I'm intrigued and I'm interested to read all the things from M.L. Philpott, because of the 3 books I've read from her, 2 of them have been 5 stars and 1 of them has been 4.5 stars. And there's just something about her writing, and specifically this mafia fairy tale retellings, that just tickles things in my brain just right. So I'm going to stop gushing about this book. As for reading challenges, for Gildathon, I used this for Stoke the Flames, which is read a book by a favorite author. For the Ripped Bodice Summer Bingo, I applied this to the prompt librarian, so I only have 2 prompts left for Summer Bingo, which is great. For the 2023 Summer Musical Tour, I applied this to Blackpink, the Born Pink Tour, which is, there's quite a few prompts for this one, but I chose the second half, which is read a book that's dark or romantic, and this is both. And that also officially hits me at level 4 for Summer Musical Tour, and the highest level is level 5, which is fun. Then for Read the Season, I applied this to the letter F, in summer because this is the Maltese edition. So the holidays in summer are in the language Maltese. And that officially finishes summer. I have summer done, which is level 1, which is read the season, which is great. And then for the Little Cafe Readathon, I applied this to Cherry Sake. I am Team Cherry, so we get the bonus points for that. And that prompt is flowers on the cover. So I finished that yesterday. Then I was looking at my TBR, and I have 4 official prompts that I need to finish for this month. One of them is Give Love a Chai, so I had 3 left, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do one of those. And I decided to pick up You with a View by Jessica Joyce because this fulfills the most prompts I had going on, and I was kind of in the mood for something else. Little did I know this weekend was going to just be a grief-filled weekend. And this book also had me crying my eyes out. I finished it during the sprint that ended at 8 o'clock. So I just finished this, not even like just about an hour ago. This one is Grief Over a Grandmother. And my grandmother passed away when I was in high school. But the connection that I had with my grandmother is very similar to the connection that Noelle had with her grandmother. And there were things that, like, I was having flashbacks just to moments with my own grandmother or situations that happened after she passed that Noelle, like discussions Noelle was having with people around her that were very similar. And this book, I mean, you could probably tell. I'm like red and my shirt's all funky because I was just like, I don't know where my Kleenex went, and I was using my shirt to wipe my tears, but I was crying so much because it really just, like I said, I'm kind of at the tip of the wave in grief right now. And I feel like most of my grief is centered that I experience more frequently is centered around my mom. And sometimes I feel guilty because I really do miss my grandmother a lot. We were very close, but it was just weird to have one that was like very mom focused and this one's very grandmother focused. And I've lost other people. I've lost quite a few family members who I was close to, but those two were like the biggest and the most profound losses on me. And this just really kind of touched me. And then, so this is Noelle, and this is also Jessica Joyce's debut. It came out earlier this month, so spoiler alert, I gave it 5 stars. It just hit me emotionally so much that I couldn't not give it 5 stars. So, premise. This is single POV, all from Noelle's point of view. I should mention that. I need new coasters. They stick to my like condensing filled cups. Like they're good for hot beverages, but not for cold beverages. And they're driving me nuts. But, okay. So Noelle, it's about 6 months after her grandmother is passed. About a month after her grandmother passed, she gets laid off from this crappy job that she had. And she had been wanting to pursue photography as a profession before this. And then she worked for some guy and he was horrendous to her and really did a blow to her self-esteem and her worth as a photographer. And so she kind of put her camera down, but she really put it down when her grandmother died because she didn't feel the passion to do it anymore. And she's going through boxes of stuff in her parents' house that was her grandmother's, and she finds this sealed manila envelope in the bottom of a box, opens it up, and it has a love letter from Paul about him being sad that they didn't get the chance to elope, and he hopes she's happy, and it's a love letter to a love that has ended, or to a love that has left your life but you still will care for him. Like, it's very beautiful. And Noelle's just like, I thought Grandpa Joe was the love of her life. Like, who is this Paul? And she saved a couple of the photos or whatever. So one night she does this cute little TikTok video and posts it, and it starts blowing up. It goes viral, and she's just like, oh, I hope, will we find who Paul is? Like, maybe somebody will recognize these photos of this gentleman and say, oh, that's my grandpa. And somebody does. And that is Theo. And Theo is her high school nemesis. They both were constantly vying to be the best. They're like valedictorian, best grades, best in their classes, like that rivalry of just being the top student kind of a situation. She also has kind of not so realized that she had a huge crush on him as well. But so it turns out that Theo is Paul's grandson, and when she, they agree to meet with her, and Paul shares photos and the letters that he saved that her grandma had written to him, and then they see a map, and they were planning to elope, and her grandmother had pulled out this like road map, and they were going to do a little road trip for their honeymoon. And so, she's feeling kind of lost, and she's just feeling guidance from her grandmother spiritually to do this trip and pick up her camera and photograph it and, make it a thing. So she does. And Paul wants to come with, and then Theo also comes with. And so they go on a little recreation of what would have been their honeymoon road trip. And it is just so touching, and it had some funny moments, and I loved seeing Noelle and Theo really kind of open up to each other, and just like they felt that attraction, but they both definitely had preconceived notions of who each other was from high school and who they thought each other were now, and just seeing them kind of really break past those notions and really see who each other is was just really beautiful to see. Plus we get the forced proximity, we have an only one bed situation, and Theo's dealing with some things which kind of causes our third act conflict situation. It's not a complete breakup, but it's definitely a little bit of space is kind of requested. But when it happened, I really enjoyed the way that their like argument fight went, where he said something, and because we're in Noelle's POV, she kind of takes it like he's saying it disparagingly to her, and she's just like, so what, you mean it this way? And he's like, that's not what I meant. She's like, so what did you mean? And so even though they're arguing and they're in high emotions, I feel like Noelle was still able to stay calm enough to not jump to those conclusions, not jump to those weird conclusions that we see typically, or to the conclusions, that he doesn't love her anymore, or like it was all a lie or whatever. And she is more just upset about the fact that he won't lower his walls to her and be completely open and honest with her. And, and he's just like, I think I just need to be alone. And she's just like, okay, but she's still like, she doesn't push too, like she does push a little bit and that's what causes this fight. But she still is just like, I'm here when you need to talk. I'm here if you want to move forward, and because I need you and I want you, kind of a thing. And so I just thought it was just a really well done. And then when he does, he comes to her after this fight, which I get so annoyed when, the women's always made out to have to be the one to grovel, when they're not the one that, because they're crazy or they're over emotional. And that wasn't the case here, which was great. And I love that he really just had to be honest with her. And he's like, when things happen in my life, I have just grown accustomed to dealing with things alone and not having people to rely on. And even if I did have my grandfather to rely on, I just got so used to, and I learned how to deal with things that happen in my life by being alone and going through it alone and figuring it out by myself. And he's like, so it'll take time for me to really, he goes, it's not that I don't trust you, it's that it's hard for me to change those habits that I've had for the last practically 30 years, And so I just loved how grown up they were about it. And there's a scene here where they go into a tarot person, and I was just like, okay, how's this tarot reading gonna go? I thought it was great. I thought it went really well. I love that there was like specifically pointed out when the death card is drawn, how she was like, typically, you know, this is more towards transformation and the death of something to bringing about something new, not actual death of a person. And this person was like, but I think here it's in both cases for you, like this death of the person has caused some sort of transformation of you. And then, you know, that she gets into the tower for Theo, and I was just like, it was a really little scene, but I was just like, you did it, you got it. And then there's a scene at this book that really, I had to take a moment because it really got me crying, because it brought back a memory of mine, where she reads, there's one final letter that Paul has for her, and it was the letter that, the last letter her grandmother wrote to him years past, when their romance was when Paul got married to his second love of his life. And she had gotten him a little marriage gift and wrote him a letter talking about her grandkids and stuff. And he was just like, it's several pages long, one whole page dedicated to the love of her grandparents, but you got one whole paragraph. And I read the first line of this paragraph and I lost it. I just lost it, because it talks about how it says something like, well, you know, I can tell you what it says. And I'm tearing up just thinking about it, because it's at the end of the book here. All right, so it's after they go through it. Okay. So this is how it starts. I'm just going to read the first couple lines. Then there's Noelle. Now I'm going to tell you a secret. I know we're not supposed to have favorites, and it's easy for you since you have one grandchild. But if I did have a favorite, it would be my sweet girl. Oh. I have a very vivid memory of the day that my grandmother passed. I could not get a hold of my father when she was in the hospital that morning. I was in high school, and I actually, for some reason, just ended up not going to school. I was like, I don't feel like, and I was like straight A, like good student. Like I never skipped school unless I like physically had to. But that morning I was like, I can't go to school this morning. I knew my grandmother was sick, but it wasn't, she had Lou Gehrig's disease, and I knew she was in the hospital. But they were like, everybody was like, nope, it was just a little thing. She's going to be fine. She'll come home in a couple days. Like, you don't have to come to Boulder and visit us. And I was just like, okay. But that morning I ended up not going to school. And they had called my mom, I think, or I was called. And then I called my mom and left her a voicemail, and then she tried to call me back, and I think she tried to call me back via the school, and then she called my cell phone. I was like, yeah, I didn't go to school today. It was like something in me knew that it was going to be a situation, and just to not be at school that day. And then we couldn't get a hold of my father. 4 hours. My mom was just like this close to being like, I don't care if your dad doesn't want me there. You need to be there, and you need to be there to say goodbye. Long story short, it was a whole thing. Didn't make it there before she had passed. My dad randomly brought, at that point they were broken up. I think they were his ex-wife, which is a whole other thing. That was the stepmom I did not have a good relationship with. She was abusive, and what led to me eventually moving in with my mom, and who my grandmother did not like at all. But besides that fact, so we finally get a hold of my dad hours later. Paige is in the car, but I was just like, I remember like vividly getting in the car and just like stopping before I like got in and like, are you kidding me, in my brain? But I was like, Grandma's what matters. Grandma what matters. We didn't make it to the hospital in time before she passed. And I remember walking up to, I don't know if you need to know this, but I'm going to say it. I'm going to put it out there, because if you're struggling with grief, I feel like it helps to know other people have similar things. But this specific passage broke me because I remember walking up and seeing her, not her hotel, her hospital room door was open and I could see that she was in there. My grandfather was standing outside the room and I saw him. And I always called him my favorite grandpa. He was my only grandpa, but I called him favorite grandpa, and I was always favorite Stacy, is what he called me. And I just remember the look on his face, and I lost it. Like, I was already nervous about what was going to happen when we were going to get there. This was the first big loss in my life. But like I mentioned, my grandmother and I had a very strong bond. And there was like the sitting waiting room, and I remember it was all like the things that stick out in your brain, the memories you will never lose. But it was all like the glass portions with the bars, but it was all glass, this one side of the waiting room. And I could see like my cousins and stuff in the waiting room, and I just saw my grandpa and I lost it, and he hugged me, and I ended up like leaning against this glass wall because I couldn't stand. And my grandfather was like right here. And I remember a doctor coming up. Don't remember what he looked like. I remember it was an older man, and I remember her doctor coming up and standing here and feeling like I was like blocked in and trapped a little bit, but that I was okay with that. Like I felt like safe in that moment. Like I was blocked off from everybody else, and like I could lose it. And I just remember I lost it, and all I very distinctly remember my grandfather. I don't know what the doctor said, but my grandfather's response was, they had something special. She was her favorite. And just the validation in that moment that not only my grandmother, but my grandfather also recognized the special bond that we have, and just the validation that how much of a loss it was for me. Ugh. I just bawled my eyes out like an hour ago. I don't know how. Ugh. See, this is how easy I cry. But I don't remember what the doctor's response is to, but I very distinctly, it was like everything went quiet, and I, even like my own sobs, and I heard what my grandfather said, and then it was like everything else is just like, white sound kind of a thing, and, similar to Noelle, I was always told, especially when I cut my hair and I got bangs and stuff, like how similar, people always said we looked similar, but when I cut my hair and got bangs, and she had bangs a lot of her life, I remember one time my mom was like, holy shit, you look like your grandmother. And I always do wonder if my grandfather and I's relationship slightly deteriorated after that, because it was painful for him to, we still hung out and we still had spent time together, but I would spend practically all summer break between schools, and I would spend all spring break at their house. And, I'd spend 2 of the 3-4 weeks in a month every summer break at their house, every single month. I was there, then I was home for a couple weeks, and then I was there for a couple weeks, and then I was home, and then I was there for a couple weeks. And so I was, every time I had any time off of school, I was typically at their house. And, just a lot of little moments that were so similar to my experience. And then, she's very fresh in her grief in this book. And I feel like, I've mentioned this, grief is a wave for sure. But it has been, I feel like my waves with loss of my grandfather has been a lot lower, because she died in 2006? Maybe it was 2005, because I graduated in 2007. You know what, now that I think about it, it's 2005, but it was the end of January. But the little things that they mention in this, and my grandmother was a tarot reader, and she never really did tarot with me. I knew she had tarot cards, and I knew, she did tarot stuff, and my mom talked about how she wouldn't, she did read tarot for her once, and she never did it again because it just was something that really, she didn't like to do it with people who she loved or she was really close to, because sometimes when you read tarot for people, some hard things come up and that people need to face in their lives, and that is what has always kind of sparked my tarot. And I think once I felt comfortable enough to start really getting into tarot, it was, now that I think about it, it was a way for me to reconnect with my grandmother after how many years. And so yeah, this has been a very grief-filled weekend, but but it wasn't it wasn't bad crying though, because it's definitely emotions that I maybe have been holding back more than I should, but it also brought back some good memories too, and some, not just the one on the day that she passed, but some good memories and some fond memories. And it really, really touched me. And I just really loved the way that grief was discussed in this. And it touched me, as you can see. Then we get to the acknowledgments at the end of the book. Even the acknowledgments had me crying, because she starts out with a little story about how her grandmother, when she was a teenager, her grandmother found a story she had written. And then, yeah, I'll just read it because I have it here. When I was a teenager, my grandma found a story I'd left up on my computer. When she told me she'd read it, I wanted to dissolve into a puddle of angst and humiliation. But she assured me she loved what I'd written and said something that stuck with me. Finish writing it. I want to see how it ends. I never finished that story, nor did I finish the dozen that followed it. But I did finish this one with her encouragement echoing in my head. So she has lost her grandmother, and I love I saw the dedication was to her grandmother. And that's how, I feel like I knew kind of going in, once I saw that dedication, that it would, I didn't have a question about the grief once I saw that dedication, before I even started reading it. Because I feel like once you experience losing a bond with someone that you're very close with, I don't know. And just the fact that, her and Noelle and her brother and her parents are all experiencing their grief in different ways. And then I also got a little sad too, because there were moments where, when they were able to open up in their grief and share memories together, I never really had that. My family never really talked about the grief, more specifically my brother and sister, and I would try to talk to my sister at times about it, but it just kind of never, it wasn't a thing. And it took me a while, when I started working with my boss, to open up with things or when I had memories of my mom, or something made me think of my mom. And it took me a while to even open up to her. And reading this book kind of helped me realize, similar to Theo, I was so used to just internalizing it and dealing with it on my own, that it took me a while. And my boss and I talk about sometimes how it feels like our moms, because her mom has passed as well, have brought us together. And before we got our new door dinger, our door, the wind would blow open the door every once in a while, or the door would just kind of open by itself. And, logically we can think it was the wind or whatever. But I remember one of the times it happened, the first time my boss said this, and she was like, "Oh, it's our moms just coming by to say hi." And it just touched me that to have someone be able to share in that grief, not that we need to share every single thing. Oh my gosh, I'm just a freaking watering pot today. I am sorry. This is what my weekend has been. And so I did get a little bit sad seeing Noelle with her family because I didn't have that type of support for me when I was grieving, especially right after it happened. And even though I have aunts and older people, I had to be the one to take charge of everything. And yeah, so I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm just talking. I'm just saying things because I have heightened emotions right now. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. But as you can tell, this book really touched me. Definitely be warned going into this if you are someone, I think, especially if you are fresh in your grief, I can't say for sure if this will help you or not, but I think it has definitely helped me at least acknowledge or recognize some things that I've gone through in my grief that I may not have had the words for, or specifically like had like recognized things in my brain. But as you can see, this book touched me and I could not give it a 5-star rating. So I'm going to stop crying on you. And I know my boss, Patty, watches this video. So thank you, Patty, for coming into my life. And I love you. But anyway, for reading challenges for Guildathon, I use this for 1, 2, 3, 4, which is read a book that has dancing in it, and there are some very sweet moments of dancing in this, both between Noelle and Paul dancing to her grandmother's favorite song, and Noelle also dancing with Theo. For Feels Like Summer, I applied this to read a debut novel, and this officially finishes Feels Like Summer. So you still, if you're doing Feels Like Summer as well, you still have till the end of August. But I have officially finished Feels Like Summer, which is great to get one like list of prompts done and over with for the summer, which is great. For the summer reading challenge, I use this for New to You author. For the 2023 Summer Musical Tour Quarterly Challenge, I use this for Janet Jackson, the Together Again Tour, and one of the prompts is author with repeating letters or initials. And funny enough, this ended up being the same as Janet Jackson with Jessica Joyce, so the 2 J's. For Read the Season, I applied this to the letter J in holiday number 2. And then for Little Cafe Readathon, I could have applied this to a Team Cherry prompt because I am Team Cherry, but I decided to apply it to Strawberry Banana Bread, which is a book that makes you nostalgic. And that's Team Strawberry. However, I did it for Team Strawberry because I only have one other prompt to fulfill to finish Team Strawberry's menu. And if I do that, I get 40 points. Now, I get more points if I do my own team prompts. I get 5 points instead of the 4 points. However, with only needing one other book, which I could technically move Beauty and Scars in or something else later at the end of the readathon when I submit my prompts, I could shift one over to fill in the final one because it's like good topography or something like that. So because I can do that, I decided to apply this one to Team Strawberry because then I can get the extra 40 points and then it's actually worth it than just putting this as another 5-point book, if that makes sense. The math made sense to me, so I did it that way. So there's that. And I'm very happy that I don't have to now go out and buy a copy of this book because I definitely would want a copy of this book. There is a little teaser, a prologue. There's a prologue and I think the first chapter or the first part of a chapter for her next release. It doesn't say... Yeah, it just says, keep reading for a preview of Jessica Joyce's next romance. I typically don't, but I wanted to see... I read the prologue. I didn't read the first chapter or the first portion of chapter 1, but there's no name for it. But I'm definitely intrigued. And it seems like we might have an Asian hero. But yeah, I'm super intrigued by that. So I will be following Jessica Joyce on all the things, and I will sign up for her newsletter if she has one set up yet. So I'm excited to find a new author. Plus, I should also mention I used my Moretti crime family bookmark for this book, which doesn't really match. But the second book of this, I got this book when I bought a signed copy of A Bullet Between Us. But I used this bookmark because book 2 comes out this week in the series. So I was like, I'll use my Moretti bookmark. So, you know. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking to you. And it's now almost 9:30. So I have officially missed most of the reading sprint that was happening tonight because it was a 45-minute sprint. But that's fine. It's fine. Whatever. I've been sprinting enough. I'll probably read before bed. I don't know what ebook, physical book I'm going to pick up next. But I'll definitely keep chugging along on my audiobook of Give Love a Try. So I'm going to stop blabbering you because look at that. We ended up hitting an hour because I can't stop talking about books I love. But that's a good thing, right? And I'm sorry if you don't like to see people crying. I tried to hold it back. But I feel like I also needed to tell people these things. So if you are struggling in your own grief, I feel like it's something important to talk about. Because if you are suffering through grief by yourself or alone, sometimes, at least for me, it was nice to know that other people are going through a similar phase or a similar wave, or just, just to know you're not alone in your feelings of loss. So if you are struggling through your own grief, I'm sorry for your loss. And if you ever want to reach out and talk to anybody, I am more than willing to talk, and just listen. Like I was known as the listener in my friends. Like people would just talk, and I would just listen. So feel free to reach out if I can help you, or listen to you, or talk with you, or just be there for you in any way. But anyway, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get ready to go to bed since I missed my reading sprint. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow. We will see what happens. But have a good night. And have a good Monday. Hello. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday evening. It's just after 6 o'clock. And there's a reading sprint going to be happening any moment. So I figured I'd do my quick clip. We have a little bit of catch up to do for yesterday and then today. So let's just jump into it because I do have a few things I want to chat with you about, but I didn't want to film too long of a clip because our opening clip was long like normal. So where we left off this weekend was exploring the city of Bromia, or the planet of Bromia, and we're in the city Vix. So let's see what yesterday, Monday brought. Oh, okay. So job board. That's typical for when we enter a new place. A set of job boards line the side of a municipal building next to a welfare office. A few people peruse the ads and offers available. You may take on all the jobs if you wish. So insect gathering, save the forest, and sick tree. Cool. I like to try all of them to see, what we can do, how we can help people. That's probably why we have so much credits, but I just think it's fun, and it's like an interesting little world building that we can kind of help people out all over the universe. So let's just jump into it. So insect gathering. A haughty teen from a wealthy family needs help collecting a special insect from the forest edges of the city. I have a dumb school assignment to study the stupid firebugs that hang out in the forest on the edges of town. I'm supposed to observe them, collect them, then write a paper. What a waste of time. I'll pay you to collect them. I have someone else writing the paper. Okay, so this is a Constitution Roll Reminder, Survival and Investigator. So we do have both of those, so that'll give us a +2 each, and our Constitution is a +1. So +5 to our D20 roll. And that is a 1. So we are going to use our once per page time step to re-roll any die roll. And that's an 11. A lot better. So it was a +5. So 16 total. If the result is 15 or more, you discover that the bugs are calm and won't attack you if you collect them just before dusk and collect them quickly. The kid pays you 5 credits. Great. So save the forest. A group of activists grow angry at the city construction company for destroying the forest to make room for more city buildings. They ask you to sneak into the company's facility and destroy their equipment. Okay, so this is a strength roll, reminder stealthy, and locksmith, and we do now have stealthy. And our strength is a -1, so we get a +1 total to this roll. And that is a 14, so 15 total. This one. Oh, if the result is 15 or more, you sneak in and smash all the equipment without getting caught. The activist group is pleased and pays you 10 credits. Great. Okay, then sick tree. A memorial tree in the middle of the city is dying. It has long been a symbol for the prosperity of the city. With its downturn, the spirit of the people declines as well. No horticulturist, arborist, or herbologist has been able to discover the reason why or help the tree. If your virtue is 5 or more, we are +10. Gain a +2 bonus to your roll. Perfect. So we get a +2 from that. It's a wisdom roll, and our wisdom is a +4. And then it also has the arcane adept skill. So we get another +2 from that. So a total of +8. Great. And that's a 19. We're on it. So that is 27 total. If the result is 15 or more, you can sense that the tree has adapted as the focal point for the spirit of the city. It is not the tree that lifts up the people, but instead the people's beliefs and enthusiasm for their home that feed the tree. Having this discussion with the mayor and the city council informs their discussions on public policy. They decide to host a tree celebration for the city. This may be a turning point for the people. They pay you 15 credits. Wow, okay, so we got 30 credits from today's jobs. That's quite a bit of credits. But I am okay. I'm happy to have them. So let's just move on and see what today's thing brings. Okay, so it looks like there's some sort of going on in the city. I can't quite tell what's going on outside of that's like a droid thing, and there's a bunch of different people everywhere. So let's see what it says. Can Openers, located in one of the more seedy corners of the town, is a rough and tumble fight club. Patrons order their drinks before proceeding to the ring to watch the show. Okay, why are we going here? So A, volunteer to fight the boxing robot. Why? B, bet on the robot. And C, bet on whoever volunteers to fight the robot. Okay, so we get to choose what we want to do. One of the 3 options, A, B, or C. I mean, I'm going to go with C. Bet on whoever volunteers to fight the robot. Because why not? I guess. I don't know. I don't want to fight the robot. It's a strength roll. We get to see that right away. And our strength is a -1. So we are going to pass that. Okay. So bet on whoever volunteers to fight the robot. Remove n number of credits to place a bet, where n equals any number of credits you currently have. Then roll a d20. Okay, so I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to bet the 30 credits that we just got, because might as well. So now we will roll a d20 and see what happens. 14. We still have our reroll for this page, so let's see. Okay, we just needed a 12. Great. So if your result is 12 or more, a brawny four-armed reptilian steps into the ring. The beast takes the boxing bot's punches and barely flinches. Then, with a single blow, the reptile dislodges the head from the robot's body, ending the match. Gain double the credits you bet. So we just got 60 credits. Holy crap. Okay, well that was fun. Yeah, well that was a good fun time. I still don't know why we were drawn to this like fight club thing, but okay. All right, so we just got 60 credits. That's great. Because we weren't already like swimming in credits. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll just be rich space people. All right, so there is that. I've updated that, and that's all we have to kind of worry about. So let us I have a couple unboxings. Well, unboxings. And then we will move on. So let me pop the quest calendar stuff out of the way here. Pop those in the box. Boop. Boop. Okay, so a couple of things. I did get an Amazon package today. So I just wanted to show I finally got my copy of the Hassad Air by Sarah Hashem. I'm super excited. This is fantasy romance based off of Egyptian romance. This is a debut, and I think the cover is absolutely gorgeous. If there was a hardback version of this, I would be interested in the hardback version, especially if this was like embossed or something like that. My copy came a little damaged, but you know, it already came super late. I think this came out in the middle of the month or something, so I'm just gonna hang on to it for now. I might change my mind in the next day or so and do a it's ruined kind of thing, but we shall see. So I'm excited to have that. And then the other thing that was coming that I ordered, I wanted another wax warmer. I have my little gray one that I have out here in the living area, but I wanted a little one for my room. And I was looking, and you know what? They have some cute little ones at Walmart, but they're just, I can get a cute one that's a little bit bigger for half the price on Amazon. So I was doing some looking and I found this one, and it came today and it's super cute. It's like deer in the trees. There was a couple different versions, but I like this one. I like the trees, and then I liked the like deer. And this one kind of looks like a moose to me, not a deer, which makes me think of my mom. So I'm super excited. This is a little more basic, so the entire top comes off instead of like my other one where it has a base and then it has a cup inside of it and just the cup pops off. But you know what? I'm fine with it. I am a-okay with it. I think it'll be some pretty ambiance that I can have on in my bedroom at night. So I'm excited to get that set up and get some wax burning. Then the other thing is, I got this yesterday, but I didn't film a clip yesterday, but I just wanted to show. I've been wanting, because I've been talking about how I've been wanting to do some diamond painting, and when I got back into it, I had a couple people saved because I wanted to try a diamond painting putty instead of the wax. I think the wax works fine, but I know a lot of people, especially when you're doing multi-placing, so putting more than one diamond down at a time, a lot of people recommend the putty or the super sticky wax. So there is someone, I will link them down below. They're called Randa's Crafty Corner. That's the name. They're on Etsy, but I've had her saved on my Etsy account for a while, and when I was on doing just wanting to look and see. I noticed that she had her entire store 15% off, and I was like, "Ooh, this is the perfect time to try her." It's on sale, which is great. So these ended up being $7 a piece. Plus, she's in Keensburg, Colorado, so I'm supporting a Colorado small business, which just makes it even more fun. I have seen some things on making your own putty and using a couple different sticky tacks with some scent, and I have a lot of scent from making wax melts. So, you know, that's something I could potentially look at into getting. But I just wanted to share them with you. And it looks like we got a little Lifesaver freebie. And then this really cute sticker. I love that. I love that sticker. And a little piece of candy. I'll just leave over here. And then when I find it one day, I'm like, oh, a piece of candy. So I got 2 different scented putties. So this one is lemon and basil. I'm pretty excited. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, it's a little more on the basil herby side. The lemon's a little bit more toned down, but I am a-okay with that. And it comes like between 2 little pieces of release paper. And so we've got just a little square. It is pretty thick. So I think typically I would probably put about half that thickness in my drill pen, but we'll see how much my new metal ones hold. I'm excited to try the new metal ones, but we'll see. I mean, if I really like this putty, I will either continue buying the putty, but the putty is also supposed to last a lot longer. From everything I've seen, but I could also like look into just making my own, because then, you know, if I have everything except for like the putty, and I think the putty, I saw some recipes are just doing like the super tack that you use to like put posters up mixed with cornstarch, but this one, yeah, that one smells really great. This one is just the same, a little white strip of or a light square. This one, the square is smaller, but it's a lot thicker, so I'm sure she just weighs them out. But this one is coconut scented, and it does. That is like coconut. This was the one where I was like, I gotta get a coconut one, and then I was like, okay, what other scent for fun? So yeah, I'm excited to try these. I was talking to my boss again today where I was like, I really want to do a diamond painting. I've been in such a mood for diamond painting, and I was thinking in my bedroom I have a huge poster that was my mom's, or a framed photograph poster thing of a penguin, because that was like my mom's favorite wild animal, and I'd never really thought about it this way, but my favorite wild animal are zebras. So I think it's funny that we both chose like mostly black and white animals. So I was thinking of I have a couple different zebra diamond paintings, and I've been wanting to put some artwork up because my walls are just still so bare, especially in my bedroom. And I've been filming more clips in there because I can sit in front of my nice big window. But I wanted to put something on the back of my closet, and I was thinking, because my closet door is right next to the penguin photograph, of doing maybe one of my zebra diamond paintings and putting it there. Although they're a little smaller, so I might want to do a couple different ones on it, but I don't know. I have a huge thing that I'm going to be working on after I'm done filming this clip. My boss got a new TV on Prime Day when I was talking about getting a new TV, and she was going to get rid of one of her old ones, and so she offered it to me. So we ordered new feet because she didn't have feet. So that is coming tomorrow. And then I've been needing some more shelving, but I didn't want to just get another bookshelf. So I bought a new shelving thing that could also kind of double as like an entertainment stand to have a TV in my bedroom. Which I was planning on getting one anyway. On Prime Day, I know I talked about that, and then I also was looking at doing it maybe on Black Friday for late night hockey games, so I can lay in bed and watch the rest of the hockey games. So, but now my boss is like super cool and giving me her old one instead of just getting rid of it, and So yeah, and then I have some shelving, and then I can put other things beside books on it, but then I can move some books. I was thinking I'm going to move my anthologies maybe to that. And then my paranormal, fantasy, and sci-fi bookshelf is starting to get overfilled. So I might be pulling, I don't know. I mean, the top half of it is all paranormal, and the bottom half is a mixture of paranormal, fantasy, and sci-fi. I know sci-fi is probably the smallest collection I have, so I might pull the sci-fi out and put it on this other shelf with the anthologies, but I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I mean, at the rate that this is going, I might need a separate bookshelf just for like sci-fi and fantasy, and then a separate bookshelf for paranormal, but a lot of my paranormals are mass market paperbacks, so I don't know. It'll be a whole thing once I get that. Stuff is supposed to come tomorrow though. So there's those. Let's talk about books. Hopefully, we're already almost at 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to do this quick as I can to kind of go over what's happening here. So I had notes, and I picked up my notes and I moved them. Oh, and then they fell on the floor. Okay, I was like, where did they go? So first off, yesterday during a reading sprint, I finished Give Love a Try during it, but I fell asleep. I fell asleep crocheting and listening to the audiobook of Give Love a Try. So I missed like 30 minutes and the like big climax of the book. And then I woke up and it was like the final like chapter in epilogue. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like mid-stitch while I was crocheting. So I just zonked out. But you know, it was almost 100 degrees yesterday. And I didn't sleep well the night before. And so yeah, Anyway, but I have finished it. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I did go back and listen to like the 30 minutes that I fell asleep for. And then it was officially done. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. I really, really enjoyed this. I was a little sad that it wasn't connected as much to the Knitting in the City. The only connection we got is that Andrew is friends or co-workers with Alex, or knows Alex somehow, who's the hero from Love Hacked. And I think he might be a contract lawyer for Quinn's company? Question mark? I didn't, if it is, I didn't recognize the name when he talked about the name of the company he worked for, but I was a little disappointed. I think I knocked it down from 5 stars to 4.5 just because I thought the like big conflict with his dad it was an issue already with his dad being a con man and Andrew just looking down on himself because his dad was in jail and, that whole thing. But with his secret half-sister, and then her wanting to keep her identity secret from everybody, including her husband, and, the dad blackmailing them for $10 million, and it was just, it felt a little, like, out of nowhere that, like I was kind of expecting his dad to cause problems, but I'm glad it wasn't a problem in the way that, he was like basically forcing them to separate. However, it kind of did because he was blackmailing Andrew's half-sister, and she wanted Andrew to keep it secret from Tia, so then Tia didn't know, but Tia could tell something was going on and it was a secret, and she was like, I'm over these secrets, like we need to be honest if we're gonna keep our marriage and make our marriage last, like we need it to be a thing. So I thought that whole him keeping it secret from her so long and him going to tell her, even if he just said, I would have been more okay with that situation had he just said something is going on with my father or with Charlie, my sister, she has asked me not to tell anybody. And when when the situation is handled and I can open up about it to you without betraying Charlie's trust, I will. Like, had he just said that and still kept the situation a secret and just been like, something's going on with Charlie, she has asked that I don't tell anybody and keep it a secret, I'm sure that Tia would have been like, okay, it's something going on with Charlie, or okay, it's something going on with your father, and yeah, I really want to know, and I hate that you're keeping the secret. But had he been upfront about the fact he's keeping it a secret because Charlie asked him to, I feel like things would have been a little bit better. And then we wouldn't have had that extra added angst. And then the conflict could have been just dealing with the father situation instead of the trust issues and the angst between them, and also the father situation. But overall, I really enjoyed this. So 4.5 stars. I don't know if I mentioned it, but there is, be warned, triggers for miscarriage and a very early on pregnancy. So tossing that out there for your information. So as for reading challenges, I use this for Gildathon, I applied this to Musical Troupe, which is a book with some traveling. Andrew's base is Chicago, and Tia is mainly in Boston, so we do get some traveling of back and forth. Plus, they're both from Breckenridge, Colorado, which is fun, so they both go back to Breckenridge for like the Christmas celebration. So we also see that as well. So lots of traveling in this one. For Summer Reading Challenge, I applied this to read a book that has an episode of A Quick Shot of Romance, which this does. So I only have one reading prompt left for Summer Reading Challenge, which is perfect. For 2023 Summer Musical Tours, I applied this to Bruce Springsteen's 2023 tour, and one of the options is read a book set in the USA, of which I just said Chicago, Boston, Breckenridge. It's all in the USA. For Read the Season, I applied this to holiday number 2 for the letter N for Nanji. And then for the Little Cafe Readathon, I applied this to the Mango Team's Mango Bubble Tea prompt for read a book with an Asian author. So there is that. Done. Then when I went to bed, there was another reading sprint at like 9:30 for like 90 minutes. So I repicked back up my ebook, Decisions We Make After Midnight. Actually, when did I pick this up? I picked this up Sunday night and I finished it Monday night. So I don't think I told you that I started this, but I started this Sunday night. I think it was after I filmed my clip. So this was one of my TBR books for the month because one of my Team Cherry Little Cafe Readathon prompts is set at an eatery, and I immediately knew I wanted to dive back into this. This book is the first book in the spin-off series to her Opposites Attract series. Her first book is super popular, at least it was a couple years ago. I think it's The Opposite of You, I think, but it's the one with like the food truck heroine chef and her romance with like a Michelin star chef who has a restaurant that's like across the street. But I binged that whole series. Back in April, I want to say, I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021. I think it was, maybe it was even 2022. Maybe it was last year. I know I was at my previous place. Maybe it was 2022 because this book came out in like May-ish of 2022. And I remember finishing that and thinking, oh my gosh, there's a spin-off series to this that comes out soon. So I just never got around to it. I gave this 5 stars. I thought this was so good. I was really happy to be back in Durham, and I wasn't sure I didn't read the blurb or anything. This is set at the Craft Bar, which we particularly see in the last couple books of the Opposites Attract series. And I'm assuming this series is going to be the 3 English children who own the Craft Bar. And so this is Will, who is the grumpy oldest brother. He's like the main bartender. He definitely is like a mixologist. What's fun is between reading the 2 series is I have watched some mixologist like competition reality show on Netflix. I've like binged it in one day. And so him talking about making the drinks and doing all these crazy cocktail situations, it makes more sense to me when they're talking about the garnish, and like I understood more of like what he was doing mechanically because I had watched that show. So I highly recommend it if you're interested in mixology, or you just are like, what exactly is it that a bartender does, and like creating drinks and stuff like that. It was like really mind-blowing, and you definitely have a better appreciation of why cocktail drinks are so expensive after watching that show, because there's so much that goes into it. But in this book, Will is our hero. Our heroine is Lola. She goes by Lo. And she is, let's be honest, she's running away from her life. She is, her father is rich. They own a multi-million-dollar company. She is a director of some sort. She has her master's degree. But she has been dating somebody since college, and it just kind of seemed like the perfect fit. His father is also a businessman and wants to do business with her father, and she has been kind of pushing for her big like baby project is a organic middle tier cost wise grocery store with a kind of fast food option, kind of similar to like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. And so she wants it to kind of be on that middle lower price point, and bring it to places and then like source like fresh organic foods. And this is like her baby project, and they're expanding to Florida. And so when she's supposed to go down to Florida to kind of be there to get the construction and this like really moving forward on the new building, and also do it with her fiance. She, first of all, shortly before having to go there, finds out that her fiance has been cheating on her. He has a second cell phone and has been cheating on her basically since they got together with various different women. And then when she approaches her father about the situation, he's basically like, this is a business deal. You're just gonna have to suck it up and get over his indiscretions, and once you get married, he's gonna put it aside, and basically you gotta stay married for business. And so she says, screw you all, and she goes to stay with her best friend Reese, who is a lawyer, who I can't remember, but she may have been a lawyer or someone that we saw in the last book of The Opposite Attract, because there is a mention that Reese is a lawyer and that she has been through some sexual assault things, and that is a big part of the 4th and final book in the other series. So I feel like Reese might have been a lawyer that we saw when we were dealing with that whole situation. But if not, Will is friends with Vera and Killian and everybody from the first series. So anyway, she goes to stay with Reese, and she's just like, I need some money. And she feels weird taking money using her company card or any of the money that she has in her bank account, because it's all money that she earned working for her father's company. And she weirdly feels weird about using it. So she's like, I gotta find a job. So she ends up seeing that Kraft needs a waitress, and she kind of submits an application, and the I guess floor manager, Ada, is just like, I'll interview you now. And poor Lola is like so shy and freaked out. And she's just like, interview now? I haven't had a chance to prepare or anything. And so she's like super nervous. And then, of course, two of the three siblings come out arguing and don't realize that somebody else is there because, you know, they're siblings and they're going to bicker. And she ends up getting hired. Absolutely horrendous at this. She ends up spending almost all of her tip money that first night because when she was messing up or things were slow, she was just buying people shots of Patron as like, here you go, what's on the house kind of a thing, and like lost almost all of her tip money, which was super funny. But it's her romance with Will, and we do have a kind of, it is, I want to say, a little bit more of a slow burn because even though she has told Owen, her ex-fiance, that they are done and she's not getting back with him, she is also very aware of the fact that it is complicated. And so they do need to break it off, but she needs to really kind of have a conversation with him to see if, like, to not completely ruin this business deal that she has been pushing her family to, like, for her to move forward on for a while. She has a twin brother who's like helping take care of things. Edison, who's super cute, and I hope he gets a book. I hope Reese gets a book. I mean, heck, I'd take Reese and Edison together. It seems like Eliza, who's the younger sister of the English ones, her book is book 2 in this series, and she's gonna be with their like distributor dude who is Will's best friend. And then it seems like Ada is kind of crushing on the middle brother Charlie, but Charlie like doesn't realize that she likes him, or I don't know. Charlie is the like super flirty, sleeping with people all the time, playboy type of person. So I don't know. I'm super excited. I saw book 2 came out either earlier this year or later in 2022. And so we'll see if there's more there. I thought it was interesting because I read the books, the first series so much later than they came out. I think they came out like mid to late 2010s. That in the back of this book, she does mention that there is, you know, it's been a while since she's wrote. She kind of took a hiatus, and, you know, she finally kind of got an idea that sparked for this book, and writing this book kind of really gave her writing mojo back. And so that's really nice to see, because as a newer fan of her work, I didn't quite realize that she had taken a hiatus, let alone one that was like long enough that it needed to be addressed. So, you know, I found her at the perfect time for me. But I'm definitely excited to continue on. I love the Opposites Attract series. Also, I should mention, if you have read The Opposite of You, there is a cute scene in here with Vera and Killian where they all go to a food wine festival, and Vera and Killian are like one of like the main like chefs doing this huge cook-off dinner thing. And Vera's pregnant with their second child, and they have a little 2-year-old girl who's super cute. And I was just like, oh, to see Vera and Killian just in the midst of their HEA. Like, it's a very small scene. We don't see him for very long, but just the little glimpse that they are still together and still happy and just living their lives to the most just made me so happy. And then we see some of the other couples as too. We didn't really see Ezra. There is talk of Ezra, and that he sold one of his restaurants. The one that was named after his ex-wife, but then he bought a new one, and he's starting a new one, and he's calling that one Scout because that is his nickname for his goddaughter, which is Killian and Vera's toddler, not the one that hasn't been born yet. So I was just like, oh, it was super cute and just a little like Easter egg heartwarming moment because I loved the first book so much. And I'm so happy. I'm like, I don't know why I kept putting it off. And when I was like, I gotta pick up an eatery, and I even looked at other books because I was like, I don't know if I'm in the mood for it. But as you can tell, I read it super quickly, and I just really loved it. And I was like, why did I think I wasn't in the mood for it? I should have known. But I've been very contemporary heavy lately, and I think I've just been wanting something different. But a lot of the books I have left to read for my TBR this month is contemporary. So I'm just like, gotta get through these contemporaries, man, even though I'm enjoying them. So I finished that last night and I couldn't sleep. And I was like, I'll pick something else up. And I kept trying to pick up a book specifically that I had downloaded from KU in the past day or so. Because it is a book by Stephanie Archer. I don't remember what it's called. I'm not going to worry about putting up the cover or not. But I wanted to pick up the book by Stephanie Archer because you will see in my upcoming TBR, there is a fun extra thing that G has added for the magical TBR for the autumn equinox that's coming up in August. That it's an imp summoning. And I found a book that qualifies for all of the prompts for the imp summoning. Like, you don't have to find a book, like you can do multiple books to do the summoning, but I was like, I want to make it count. And there's already so much going on that I was like, I want to try to find a book that fits all of the prompts. And I did find a book by Stephanie Archer. It's a newer hockey romance from her that fits all of the prompts of that, except for an author you have read before. So I need to pick up a Stephanie Archer book before I get to the hockey romance to do that and I could wait and just read this book during August, but I wanted to get it done as soon as I can. But we shall see if that's the next ebook I pick up. But anyway, I kept trying to pick it up last night. I was like, I'll start it. And I kept clicking it and I kept clicking it and it was queued and it was queued. And then it said downloading 1% and then it'd go to 0%, 1%, 0%. I restarted my Kindle and it just would not freaking download. So I was like, fine, what do I have already downloaded on my Kindle? And then I saw, hey, I have the ARC. It comes out August 1st for Secrets on Sunset? Secrets by Sunset? How quickly I forget. Secrets at the Sunset by Juliet Cross. This is a novella, but she has it marked as book number 2 in her Beauville series. And this she wrote last year for the HEA Collective, which is a Patreon exclusive thing for, I think it's 5 authors a month have like a theme or like a trope, and then they all write for it, and then each month there's the novellas and there's different tiers and whatever you can do. She had mentioned when she was doing this that at some point it will revert back to her and then she will be able to release it on her own. But I think for a year it had to stay in the like an HEA Collective exclusive or something like that. But it's coming out August 1st. I remember reading the prologue and I was like, oh yeah, this one. This is best friend's brother? No. It's the little sister and her older brother's best friend. So either best friend's little sister or brother's best friend, whichever point you're starting at. But it's a novella. It's 113 pages, I think is what it said. I gave it 5 stars. It gave me everything I could want in a novella. It was so fun going back to Beauville into this Juliet Cross contemporary. I know she was talking about how she wanted to have this release because she has another contemporary that'll be coming out the rest of later this year. And then she'll be kind of jumping it back into fantasy for next year. And so she just wanted to kind of do this as a lead up to the bigger contemporary. And I'm just like, I will read anything Juliet writes. I have been waiting for this, but I forgot I was waiting for it. But when it popped up, I was like, oh yeah. So I read this. This cover is gorgeous. I did ask when she posted about it in the Patreon if there will be paperbacks coming, and she said yes. So as soon as I'm able to order a paperback for this book, I will be ordering it. I gave it 5 stars. It gave me everything I could possibly want in a novella. I mean, it helps that we have an established relationship between the two of them. So them being like pining for each other for years. You know, we get the Juliet spice. It was a little spicier than I was expecting for how short it was, but I was here for it. Reed is a dirty talker, and it was just great. So this is Anna and Reed. It is a little bit of an age gap. I think they're 6 years apart or something like that. But maybe it's 7, 6 or 7-ish years. So Anna is back in town. She just graduated from college, and her plan is she wants to buy the old insurance office that's on Main Street and turn it into a dance studio. She grew up kind of training in ballet, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to open a dance studio and use her business degree to run the business. And Reed is works in like building something. So she strikes up a bargain with him because she has enough money set aside to, do the initial down payment on the building and set up enough payments until she can get things rolling. But her parents, as supportive as they are, don't want her to jump into doing this. They're supportive, but I feel like they're also very hypercritical of her and her successes, which is unfortunate, but it was like a weird dichotomy that worked for me. But they don't want to co-sign a loan for her to get the extra funds for the renovations of the building. And so she approaches Reed and she's just like, I know you work a lot already, but I can pay for materials. I just need help for the labor side of the renovations. So I will, cook and clean for you and, do your laundry and like be like a housekeeper kind of a situation and personal chef, in exchange for this labor. And I will help you wherever I can. And, to also help with the labor or whatever. And so he agrees, and they are forced together without the buffer of the family around them. And it was just super sweet, and I loved it. And Anna gets drunk and it's hilarious, and Reed is just so gone for her. I love it. I highly recommend this. We don't see too much overlap with the first book outside of it being set in the same city. So if you haven't read this, I think you can completely read as a standalone. If you haven't branched out into Juliet Cross's contemporary writings yet, I think this would be like a good intro, because you get a little bit of everything in this. You also get, I always mention this, but Juliet is also in the like nerd geek fandom area. There's talk about Witcher in this, and Anna is a fantasy reader. So I'm just like, just all the little nods to, us girls who are nerds and geeks and in fandom. I just love it. So 5 stars. I loved it. Okay. So, like I mentioned, I'm not 100% sure what ebook I'm going to pick up. My final Team Cherry prompt I have left is... Oh, I should tell you. I never told you things. Okay, let's rewind. So, for decisions we make after midnight, I applied this to Gildathon for Bank the Embers, which is a book that's been on your TBR for a year or more. For 2023 Summer Musical Tour, I applied this to Madonna, the Celebration Tour, and one of the prompts is Celebration in the Story. There is an interesting conversation in here about drinking and how Will is like, drinking really should be when you go to a bar, when you drink alcohol, like the point is to have it for celebration. You shouldn't drink to forget. You should drink to remember, which I thought was really sweet and enheartening, and how you want to have a nice drink to celebrate something. And so they have, when they get together and they drink and he makes cocktails for her and introduces her to like stuff, they always talk about how when they're drinking, they're celebrating something. And so I had to apply that to that because it was such a sweet sentiment that was woven into the story, even though it wasn't like your typical celebration. Then for Read the Season, I applied this to the letter R for holiday number 3. And then for Little Cafe Readathon, like I mentioned, I picked this up because I needed to read a book for Cherry Pie, which is set at an eatery. Okay, then back to Secrets at Sunset. I applied this to Gildathon, and I got the 10 points for this being the most recently published in an ongoing series. I don't know when she plans on continuing the series, but I'm here for it. I want Anna's three brothers to have books, and we still need books for the other side characters in Bright Like Wildfire. Like, I'm just ready for all the books from Juliet. For 2023 Summer Musical Tour, I applied this to Lionel Richie and Earth, Wind, and Fire. Their Sing a Song All Night Long tour. One of the prompts is sky on the cover, and this has a gorgeous sky on the cover. For Read the Season, I applied this to Holiday Number 1 for the letter S. And then for the Little Cafe Readathon, I applied this to Team Strawberry's Strawberry Champagne. And the prompt for that is a book with pretty typography. And that means I have officially finished Team Strawberry's entire menu. So that gets me an extra bonus 40 points. It's not 50 points for my own team menu, but it's at least 40 points and worth it for me to put it there instead of 5 points from applying it to the one that has two people on the cover that's for my team. So there is that. Now, as for what I picked up, on my TBR, I had a specific book that I was planning on picking up for my final Team Cherry prompt, which is a book that has Asian folklore, mythology, retelling kind of a situation. The book I wanted to pick up, I wasn't feeling it. And then I was like, I'll pick it up. But then I wanted an audiobook today. And I have been, the other night, I was kind of tossing around ideas of audiobooks and ebooks because I just wasn't feeling it. I was looking into it, and it seemed like, from what I expected, and like the blurb for it kind of made it seem like it was going to be a high fantasy book. But then when I was looking at the reviews, I saw the reviews were kind of like 3 stars. But a lot of people were saying it was definitely more urban fantasy paranormal and not high fantasy like I was kind of expecting. So I was looking for something else because if I'm in the mood, I'm in the mood for something that's more high fantasy than urban fantasy. So I was kind of picking between a couple different things. There was quite a few Chinese and Japanese Asian mythology that I was looking at. And then I found This Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi. I'm sorry if I said her name wrong, but this is Persian mythology, which is super fun. I don't think I've read very much Western Asia mythology stuff. When I saw this, I was like, ooh, perfect. So then I was kind of looking to see if there's other like India or other like Western Asian, almost Middle Eastern mythology, if it was like from a continent or a country that also was included in Asia. And so I decided to pick up this one. The audiobook's like 13 and a half hours long. So I was like, oh, but this will be my read for the weekend. This is my final Little Cafe Readathon Team Cherry prompt. What's fun is this is also supposedly a YA fantasy. So that'll work for Belle Boulevard. So that'll also take off a Romanceopoly one. But I am currently at 4%. That's how far I got at it at work today. But I just wanted to kind of tell you what the blurb says, what this is about, and so you can kind of know what's going on. We're still kind of getting set up. I will say what we've really kind of done some world building on is the Jinn, D-J-I-N-N mythology, and I'm super excited for it. But so our heroine is Eliza, I think. And she is a servant, but she calls herself as Jinn. And it kind of went into like the beginning, and like Jinn were creating from fire and humans were created from clay. So it doesn't seem like she's a human with Jinn power, but like she's almost a separate race. But she does have like a human body. So I'm definitely intrigued in that. But in the blurb, it says that she's not everybody thinks she's a servant, but she's actually the long lost heir to an ancient Jinn kingdom, forced to hide in plain sight. So I'm like, okay. And then her love interest is the crown prince Kamran. And he's heard the prophecies foretelling the death of his king, but he could have never imagined the servant girl with the strange eyes, the girl he can't put out of his mind, would one day soon uproot his kingdom and the world. So I'm excited. I'm super excited for this. This is going to be Forbidden Romance. It's a trilogy. The first 2 books are only out, so I'm just like, but I'm super intrigued by this. And already, like, yes, we're in the world building, so things are still kind of slow, and it's a lot of information to take in, but I'm already super enjoying this. So I cannot wait to really kind of dive into the meat of this and get going with the main plot once we get through setup. So my plan is for the reading sprints tonight for Little Cafe Readathon, because they're doing like 2 or 3 a night. They're doing more throughout the day. There's some in the middle of the night because we have people who are in Europe. So there's just constantly, I feel like, reading sprints happening. But that's great because my plan is to kind of rearrange my bedroom a little bit and make room for my new shelving and the TV to go in tomorrow. And so I have to do some rearranging. So I'm going to listen to that and rearrange that. There's another sprint at 9 or 9:30 for either an hour or 90 minutes. And so I might switch over to an ebook at that point, but we'll see. I'm super excited to keep reading this though and really kind of get into the meat of it. And I'm super excited. I think I have read some books with Jinn, but I don't think they specifically said that they were like Persian mythology. And I'm not 100% sure if like Persian mythology is like the start of Jinn mythology, but I don't know. I just don't know enough about it, and I haven't read enough about it, and I don't know enough about it in like real world like I do with like Greek mythology or even like Japanese mythology and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm intrigued and I'm super excited to continue reading it. So we're at 53 minutes. I just can't help it. I'm so sorry. It's Tuesday and we're at like 2 hours. It's okay. I'm talking about books, right? That's why you're here. You're here to watch me talk about books and talk about what's happening in my life. So, and most of this is talk about books. So I'm going to stop talking at you. I'm going to get to reading because we're currently in the middle of a reading sprint. So I will hopefully see you tomorrow on Wednesday. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, so let's talk about things because we have things to talk about. Last night I ended up, after filming my clip, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be productive. We have reading sprints happening. I'm going to listen to my audiobook. And then I was cleaning my room. So I got my contemporary bookshelf, which you saw me organize and put together. I will pop that up here. It's my Organize My Books with Me. I completely tore it all apart and moved it because the bookshelf itself is like solid wood. So I had to remove everything and move it over. The top left-hand corner was all anthologies. I pulled those out. And so now it's all just contemporary, and somehow I feel like I had less space when I put everything back. So I don't know what I did, but that I moved. And then I have a little red set of drawers that I had in one spot, and then I moved it, and then I moved it back to its original spot. So I can make space for my new shelving unit and the TV. So I did that all last night, and I listened to my audiobook and made a lot of good headway in that, surprisingly. And then I just, there were reading sprints happening, and I was just reading the entire time. So I was just like, yeah, I'm here. I haven't stopped listening since the previous reading sprint. But, I just kind of did my thing. And then I got stuff kind of set up and ready and space for setting up my shelving unit and stuff today. And then I went to bed. So today when I got home from work, I had 2 minutes left. I had 1 minute and 56 seconds left in my audiobook. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I couldn't have just finished it at work. Like, how silly is that? But I finished that, and then I ended up picking up another audiobook while I was putting things together. I ended up putting the anthologies on the new shelving unit, and then I pulled my sci-fi romance out of my magnetic bookshelf in the living room. It did give me some space, for sure. I mean, of the 3 subgenres I have on there, sci-fi, fantasy, and paranormal, the fantasy and the paranormal are the 2 biggest, but I'm going to try to, maybe this weekend, maybe a little bit in the future, go through and reorganize that shelf. Like, that's the next bookshelf project. But I'm just... and maybe I'll see if I have, I have a lot of paranormals, but most of them are mass market paperbacks. So I might put the sci-fi back out here and move the fantasy to that shelving unit. I don't know. Things are where they are. But I also pulled my, Lore Olympus and my Love Not Found and my Let's Play. So, my webtoon, webcomic, romance comics that aren't, manga or traditional comics. I also moved those to my new shelving unit as well. So I'm going to have some rearranging to do in my bookshelf out here, but that is fine. But I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. I'm going to have some other knickknacks and stuff that I want to put on one of the other shelves. So far, I'm pretty happy. And I already have plans to get a low but skinny shelving unit. I was just going to do a couch shelf type of situation, but I found a really funky one that matches my entertainment center. So eventually I'll put that behind my couch for other storage options, because let's be honest, the biggest detractor of my apartment is there's no storage space. The linen closet, the bathroom, there is no bathroom closet. It's a linen closet, and it's like the size of my head going up and down, and I'm just ugh. So I only have my extra lotions and shampoos and things like that. That's all that's in there. The only towel stuff it could have is hand towels and wash rags. A full-size towel wouldn't fit in there unless I rolled them up, but even then you wouldn't be able to get very many on a shelf. So that's the biggest thing. So I'm just and I've got more than enough cube storage boxes, and and then I'll be able to start putting up knickknacks and do a little bit more with artwork. So I'm feeling pretty happy about the situation. And I'm sorry I keep playing with my necklace. I know this chain is really loud. I was feeling Tolkien today, so I wore my Hobbit door necklace. And if you open it up, there's a little quote. It's in a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit, and then I wore my Tolkien earrings today. So I was feeling very Tolkien. Don't ask me why, but let's talk about books now that I've rambled on at you about life things. So the audiobook that I started yesterday that we kind of chatted about was this Woven Kingdom by Tahira Mafi, and I finished it. I got to 68% last night, which I was holy moly, for a 13.5-hour audiobook. And then, like I mentioned, I was able to listen to it most of the time today at work while I was working on stuff. And when I got home, I was oh, let's see where we're at in the audiobook. And it was 1 minute and 56 seconds left. And I'm this was so fun. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I definitely could have had more romance. But I do know, I did know going up front, it was going to be more of a slow burn. It's definitely young adult. But I also knew that there was going to be, it was going to be over the set of a trilogy. This came out in 2022, which I had no idea it was that new. And then the second book is out. It's not on Hoopla yet. I don't even know if there is an audiobook for that, but that came out earlier this year. So I'm guessing the third book will probably come out next year, but I will definitely, I favorited the author on Hoopla, and I'll definitely keep an eye out for when the audiobook drops. It was a pretty big cliffhanger. I am kind of nervous if the book 2, she's pushing it towards a love triangle, which I know is popular for young adult, which is probably why I stayed away from young adult a lot of the time, because I was never into love triangles. Never, ever. I've never enjoyed them. But we will see what happens. There is a surprise magical creature that I love, and I like a deposit, and I was like, what? And then the way it ended, I was just like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? How is this going to end? What kind of cliffhanger are we going to have? And I was just, it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be, which is a-okay by me. But I was like, whew. But I really, like I said, I really enjoyed this. The characters didn't really feel that young, outside of the fact that we just kind of get one steamy kiss. And there is talk about that they're 18, but there's a lot of political machinations kind of happening between like different, like, I don't know. It's just really interesting. What I also really liked is there is a point, I think like after chapter 4, there's a chapter called like the beginning, and then we like jump back into the timeline, and that kind of touches base really quickly over the brief evolution / history of Jinn and humans, and it talks about how Jinn were made from fire and humans were made from clay. And so throughout the book, I thought it was kind of interesting. Not every single time, but a lot of the times when talking about people who weren't Jinn, they were just referred to as clay or from clay. And I just loved that continued immersion into this world and into that like mythos system kind of a thing. So I really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was so much fun. But like I said, 4 stars. I did want a little bit more romance, and I also thought that there were a couple parts that were a little too drawn out, and I was like, okay, let's keep moving, or we're a little bit too stereotypical. But like I said, I'm enjoying this, and I can't wait for the next one. Yeah, and if you're looking for something that fits your fantasy vibes, like your young adult, new adult fantasy vibes, but something that has a slightly different twist in setting, like this definitely kind of felt more like historical Middle Eastern, historical like Asian, but not like what we think like Japan, China, Korea, but like the Western Asian atmosphere. Like I definitely got those vibes and that kind of sense of that culture, or cultures, I guess, from back then. And I really enjoyed this. I cannot recommend this book enough. I had a lot of fun with it. So as for reading prompts, I did for Romanceopoly apply this to Beau Boulevard, so we will need to be doing a new Romanceopoly roll tonight. So that is super fun. This is the 27th prompt I think we've done out of 39. So we're just trucking along on that, which is great. For Gildathon, I use this for new composition, which is a new to you author. For Summer Reading Challenge, this is my final reading prompt, and that is a BIPOC author. I have 3 prompts left. Share a shelfie. Visit your library or free little library. And what is the third one? Oh, stack your favorite trope. So I do need to do that as well. But I can get that all done by the 31st, right? I was planning on going to either the free little library or but I think when I was looking, there's a few free little libraries in town, and they're all like a block within the library, which is crazy. So I might just make it a trip. And I'll talk about why I might go to the library itself in a moment. But for 2023 Summer Musical Tour, I applied this to Metallica and their M72 World Tour. This actually ended up working up for both prompts, but I knew kind of going in this would be a good one to cover the option silver or gold on the cover. But the other prompt for this one is M in the title or in the author's name, and this works for that as well. But I specifically thought of this one when I was picking it up for the gold on the title. I was like, oh, it has gold. Perfect. Also, this book also means I have reached level 5, which is the highest level. So technically I can say that I have completed the challenge, but I still have some prompts left, and then I have the bonus prompts I want to do. So I'm just going to keep trucking along. We still have till like mid-September in this quarterly reading challenge. So I'm just going to do all the prompts. Then for Read the Season, holiday number 1, I applied this to the letter M. So I only have one letter left for that holiday, which is great. And then I can get my first holiday done. Then for Little Cafe Readathon, like I mentioned yesterday, this is my final Teen Cherry prompt, which is Cherry Blossom Milk Pudding. And like I mentioned, that prompt is an Asian folklore or mythology retelling. And this is based off of Persian mythology, which is super fun. So there is that. Now, let's touch base slightly on what I picked up last night, and then we'll talk about the audiobook I picked up today. So last night, I did mention yesterday, I was looking at picking up the Stephanie Archer book, and I did pick it up last night during the final reading sprint. I only got 14% in, and it's That Kind of Guy. So this is the first book in her Queen's Cove series, and this kind of seems like it'll be maybe not enemies to lovers, but definitely like Playboy, flirt with anyone, paired with, like the good girl who wants nothing to do with him kind of a situation. Definitely small town. This is set in Canada. And our heroine works at a restaurant as the manager. Her name is Avery, I think. And she is hoping and saving to buy this restaurant. Her mother and father were actually restaurateurs, but things didn't go as planned in that case. There was issues with her father, but she knows, like she knew the ins and outs. And so she really wants to take over this restaurant because when she moved to, I think this is set on like Vancouver Island, because they talk a lot about the ferry having to go to Vancouver. But they are, well, yeah, it's Queen's Cove. That's the name of their town. But so she wants to buy this restaurant, and the owner of it has already she's a grandmother and her kids have like moved out of town, and she has already kind of mentioned that her kids want nothing to do with the business. And she, with grandkids and all of that, she is wanting to move to Vancouver, and the best financial thing for her to do is to not only sell her house and move there because Vancouver is expensive, but also go ahead and just sell the business at the same time. So Avery has money set aside, but it is a lot earlier than her plan. She spends no money on what she can to just save what she can to get to buy the restaurant. And all of a sudden, she has to get things underhand. So she is trying to get a business loan, and she has been denied, and they're asking for like a cosigner or something like that. And just to kind of, hedge their bets in case the restaurant fails and they can still get their money back. The hero in this book, he is a Rhodes brother. His name is Emmett. Like I mentioned, he's kind of a playboy. I think he's the oldest of the brothers. I think it's 4 brothers. But him and one of his brothers owns like a construction company in town. And it's really interesting because they talk about the city, and a lot of the money that the city makes or puts towards is upgrading the touristy areas, because that's where a lot of the income comes for this town. But like, the sidewalks are falling apart. There's crazy potholes. Their electrical grid is horrendous. Like, it's common in the summer to like once a month have everybody lose power, and then like during the winter time it's like once a week. And so there's a mention, like Avery talks about it in the beginning, of how, you know, they have planned setups for when they lose power. Like, there's candles already kind of set up. The bartender is also a musician, so he plays the guitar for ambiance, and then Avery takes over as bartender. And they keep their fridge and freezer stock really low. It kind of plays up their everything is fresh like deal with the restaurant, but it's also kind of out of necessity. And Emmett, his best friend and former next door neighbor, they have a little girl. I think she was 4 years old, but she is going through dialysis, and with all of these constant power outages, it's, you know, putting extra stress on an already stressful situation for her parents, with, you know, having to rely on the generator, and then the generator gets broken. And so when we, at the beginning of this book, they are moving out of this small town, and Emmett's really sad because this has been his best friend his entire life. He loves his wife. He loves the little girl. He's basically, you know, the uncle, even though they're not related. And he's just really, really bummed out that they're having to move because the city won't put any money towards helping fix anything in town, let alone the electrical grid. So as a construction dude, he's like, I'm not an electrical engineer, but I know there's gotta be something that can be done. And he sees that it's time for a new mayor, and the dude that has been mayor for however long isn't campaigning or anything because he always wins. And so Emmett has decided that he is going to run for mayor. However, to kind of help his, I don't know, what to call it, not help his persona, but help the way people perceive him. I'm losing the word. He decides to kind of enter into a fake dating situation with Avery, and he's going to co-sign the loan for her, and she's going to kind of like help fix his, oh my God, I don't know why I'm spacing on the word, but like fix his reputation. There we go. Big reputation. Every time I hear the word reputation, I hear in my mind like the Taylor Swift harmonies, big reputation. But anyway, so this is fake dating situation. So I'm pretty excited for it. It's a pretty cute setup so far. Seems normal, kind of small town vibes. And I'm excited to kind of see where this goes. It doesn't feel super enemies. I think the thing on it is like enemies to lover, small town romance or something like that. It doesn't really feel like enemies. It just feels like he's one of those people who flirts with everybody, and with women it is, you know, a little bit more than just being flirtatious, but he flirts with everybody. He's just that charming, likable guy. And yeah, so I'm excited to see where this goes. Like I said, I'm not very far into it, but I did start it last night, and I'm intrigued so far. And I can kind of go hog wild for the rest of the month, although I can start the magical readathon early because we beat whatever thing in the spring equinox. So I think Saturday I can technically start the magical readathon early. So I kind of have free will to read whatever I want until then. Without like any guidance, which is fine. So I'm going to stop talking about that. I talked about that way too long for how little I've read of it, but I wanted to at least give you the basic setup. So that's the ebook that I am currently reading. Now, as for the audiobook, I have been needing to read a historical romance this month. I have not read any. I keep needing to pick up The Maddening Lord Montwood because I would like to read this month. But when I started the other one, I just had my Kindle and I was like, I want to read something on my Kindle. So I have not picked up this yet because I have to do it physically, but this will probably be my next physical read, or I might push it off till August 1st so I can apply it to the romance readathon that's coming, but we'll see. But I was like, I need a new audiobook, and so I was like, let's see what historical romances I have saved in Hoopla audiobook wise. And there are a couple different options, but I just kind of randomly went with The Lord I Left by Scarlett Peckham. This is the third and final book in her Secrets of Charlotte Street series. The first book, I think I gave like 3.5 stars. Maybe I gave it 4 stars. The second book, I think I gave 4.5 stars. That was definitely my favorite of the 3. And then, so this is the third one. This is the series that's kind of set around a BDSM house, but for me, I'm not really into BDSM. That's partly why I didn't enjoy the first book quite as much, although it wasn't very heavy on the BDSM element, more just kind of like a setting of how these people have met each other. But this book, I am 38% into it. This is what I've been listening to since I got home. And this is Henry Evesham, who we have seen in the previous 2 books as like this super preachy religious man who's like trying to crack down on sin and expose these houses of ill repute. And he has since done some of that. In accordance with, in agreement with our hero from the first book to not expose this specific house. But he did a secret article or whatever. So he's now been appointed as a lieutenant by the House of Lords to look into what they can do to kind of help address the sins of sex work, basically. And the different kinds of it. And when he was learning and getting to understand, hopefully in a more positive light, this specific house, he runs into Alice, who is one of the she's basically a lady in training in this house. She started out as kind of like a maid, but she is kind of hoping to learn to be a governess in this house. And when he is there to grab a notebook he accidentally left there before heading home for a little bit and to compile his findings and put together this paper for the House of the Lords, Alice ends up getting a letter from her family back home that her mother has had a heart attack and isn't going to last long. And she and her family lives not so far away from Henry's family. So he offers to give her a ride there because that'll be faster than the mail coach. Plus, Henry was attracted to her, and then he felt really weird about it and was like having a crisis of faith, or what did he call it? A crisis of lust is what he called it. And so, forced proximity, they're traveling together. It's winter time, as you can probably tell from the cover, and the weather, they're getting an early snow. And so he isn't quite able to make it to her family's house, but he's able to make it to his own house. So now she is stuck with him and his very religious family, and they are pretending that she is a widow who's trying to get back to her family, so it's more acceptable for them to be traveling together. But there's definitely some attraction and some building tension between them. So I'm definitely interested to see. There was this weird moment where he was talking about a fantasy dream, and I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but he was talking about some lady washing his feet with her hair, and I was like, I'm not a feet person, So, like, washing your feet, like, I really like you if we're doing anything with the feet. But what I was like, I don't understand I just don't understand the weird kinks like that. And maybe because I don't really have any that are weird like that, but that was a little weird. I was like, whoa, okay, we're really going there on this one. And I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum. Like, if that's something you want or you fantasize, good for you, but I am not going to be the person to help you with that because I want nothing to do with feet. I just don't like them. I don't want to touch them. I don't want them to be touching me. I just don't like feet, but I know that that's a common thing. So that's it for books. There's going to be more reading sprints tonight. I know it's about 9 o'clock right now, and I think 9:30 is the next reading sprint, so I'm probably going to switch to ebook and just relax that way, but we'll see what ends up happening. I think I'm mostly done with my shelving for tonight, and I just want to eat some late dinner and relax. I need to watch Claim to Fame so I can talk to it with my boss. It's also Wednesday, and I typically watch Secret Invasion on Wednesday, but I might watch Secret Invasion tomorrow, and then we can have the live show chat for Bingers Assemble on Friday for that. But it's the final episode, which is exciting because I'm ready to see like what Nick Fury is going to freaking do with Davik, something like that. These alien names, man. But anyway, I'm going to stop blabbering you about those. Let's do the quest calendar really quick, and then I can do Romanceopoly, which I know will be really quick because it usually does go by super quick. All right, so where we were yesterday, we were at some weird underground fight club with, I'm assuming this is the boxing robot, but it looks like he's holding drinks. So maybe this is like a drink server robot in the tavern. I don't know. Or I'm sorry, the underground club. So let's see what today brings. Oh, okay. We get to go shopping. Fun. Okay, you walk around the outdoor market looking to converse with others and discover something about Andy. Andy, my goodness. You happen to pass by a mechanic selling slightly used merchandise. You can't pass up a good opportunity. So there's a machine shop, which is 20 credits, which it goes in the labs. Biolocks, which is also 20 credits, which goes into the crew quarters. And a nav system, which is 20 credits, which goes in the bridge. And then we can also buy ship parts from them as well. So we have more than enough money because we won our bet and got a ridiculous amount of money yesterday. So we have ship parts wise, we have 18 ship parts. So I think we're good. We haven't had to use any. So the only crew quarter I don't have an upgrade in, as you can see, is the labs. So I definitely will move that there. Machine shop, and that will add 5 aim, so our aim will go up to 35. Now the biolock, it said, goes into crew quarters, and that gives us +5 to aim, so that it doesn't change anything on that one. That would give us more integrity in that one, but that's fine. We're fine on that. And then the new system, it said bridge. What we have in the bridge is +5 aim, and this one gives +5 evasion. But if we hit our aim, we don't need evasion. So I'm just going to buy the machine shop for 20 credits, and I will go ahead. Perfect, because I talked to you, and even though we're nowhere near as long of a clip, it's still longer than I was hoping to. But we had books to talk about. Machine shop. So I will pull it, and then we can see we are officially full. I mean, we can still change people up if we find something that's better, but I put it on there upside down. No. Yay for reusable stickers. Okay, cool. So we got our machine shop little arms in the labs. So now look at this. All of our upgrades are full, and all of our crew members are full, or our additional crew members. super cool. So I will get those updated on my ship character sheet and change my gold. And then I'll set up Romanceopoly and I will be right back and we will do our new rules. Okay, we're all set up. All right, so we are down here on Bow Boulevard. So let me get my notes and we will just get to it. So that is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Outer space, which we have already done. Okay. And then, what are you? 4, so 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Amore Avenue. Let me just check my book. Oh, okay, so we have not done Amore Avenue, which is great. So here we go. So this is the generic prompt is contemporary. And so there's that. And the more specific prompt is read a contemporary romance with an illustrated cover. Well, guess what? The book I'm currently reading on my ebook by Stephanie Archer is exactly that, which is perfect. So this will be applied to that. So I'm just going to save us time in the future and we're going to roll and see what's happening next. Because I've already started it, we're going to just go ahead and just roll and move on to the next one. So 9. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that library is after Fang Alley. So let me see. Okay, so we have done that library. So let me just make a note here. Okay, so we are on this library. Okay, roll number 2, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lover's Lane, I think that was, yep. We already have done that one as well. Whoa. Okay, 8 doubles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Soldier Street, I believe we have done as well. Yes, we have. All right, another 8. Weird. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So when we are on Welcome to Romanceopoly, well, that is no prompt. So let us just continue on. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. So 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the bar. Hey, look, and we have not done the bar. So let me go through our, okay, so if you are doing the genre only prompts, this is sci-fi, or the more specific prompt is read a book where the main character works at or owns a bar. I literally just read a book that was like that. I literally just read that. That was Decisions We Make After Midnight. However, book 2 in that series is already out, so I might lean towards picking that book up, but I might try to see if there's any other books that are set in a bar, although that one, then I could get caught up in that series. So that might be what I pick up, is the second book in that series by Rachel Higginson, but we will see. But this will be the next book I pick up when... Okay, so we're going to finish the Stephanie Archer one for this one. Then I'm going to pick up this Vivian Lorette book. And then, depending on what's going on, I might pick up this one. But we will see. But this is my next Romanceopoly roll after I finish my Stephanie Archer book. So, we'll see what happens. Or maybe I end up picking up a book that somehow ends up having a character that does that I'm not aware. So, but we'll see. I'll stop blabbering at you. I will see you hopefully tomorrow. I hope you have a good Thursday, no matter if I do or not. So, have a great night. Hello, happy Thursday. It is just after 9 o'clock. It has been a busy day. It was a crazy day at work, and then I had to go grocery shopping, and that took over an hour. Just, I don't know why it took so long, but it took forever to check out. That was the biggest thing. But they finally had one of those over-the-door pantry closet organizer things in stock. I've been checking for like a couple months now, and they finally had one in stock, so I was able to get that, and then I put that together and got that up in my pantry, and got my kind of pantry stuff reorganized a little bit, so I was able to free up, like put like baggies and like Ziploc bags and parchment paper and wax paper and all that kind of stuff in that. And so then that cleared up some extra one of my big drawers, because I don't have very much storage space, which I know I've talked about recently. But anyway, so it's been a busy afternoon. I just got done. I finally sat down and made a little bit of dinner, and then I watched the final episode of Secret Invasion, and it's really good. It didn't quite give me the kapow that I was wanting, and I'm really intrigued to see how they're gonna go from here. My biggest about it is there wasn't an after credit scene, which was disappointing, and then there wasn't. Usually at the end of a Marvel show, it's like blah 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 will return, but there was no Nick Fury will return. But I mean, he has to. He's still alive. But overall, I really enjoyed the series, even though it didn't quite give me the kapow that I was wanting. I still thought it was a really good finale, I think. And I had a lot of fun with it. So I thought it was great. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. So, I'm going to try to go through things somewhat quickly today, because I have 9:30 is the next reading sprint, so I will be taking part in that. So since I'm talking about it, let's just talk about books. Last night I did only get to 32% of That Kind of Guy. So the full fake dating situation has kind of come into play. It's definitely like Emmett was like, I've always had the secret thing for Avery, and he's just like, she's the one that I just can't, get out of my craw kind of a thing. So you just see it. He doesn't even realize that he really likes her. And they definitely, I wouldn't say they're enemies, but they're very sassy with each other. And Avery definitely kind of judges him a little bit. So we'll see. She's a little she agrees to the fake dating situation, but then she's light hand holding, and he's like anyone will believe that you're in a relationship with me and I'm just allowing light hand holding. But it was a really cute scene where he takes her to dinner on a double date kind of thing, and he's having dinner with the labor union rep, who he's also friends with, and they're able to kind of both talk about why Emmett's doing his running for mayor, but also just talk about and catch up, because they're also friendly outside of being business associates. And I really like the way that Emmett talks about business and the way that he runs his business, and how he's very like labor minded about his guys. And as someone who works for a labor intensive job, I definitely like to see that. So I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I am getting a little frustrated with Avery, though. Like I said, she's kind of pushing back a little too much. And I'm like, girl, you agreed to the fake dating situation. Like, let's do it. And then they're kind of like forced to play like a off the fly newlywed game. And they have some, they obviously didn't talk to each other very much. So they don't really understand what... like little things about each other, like they don't know like when their birthdays are, or little things like that. Like usually I feel like in fake dating situations we see them like sit down and they're like, here's our cover story, here's how we met, here's how we started dating, what are some basic informations, like what's your favorite color, and little stuff like that. He told this interesting story about how they finally, started dating when he rescued her in a surfing thing. Or that's when he started liking her or something like that. And part of me is wondering if it's true and if that did happen, or there's like a kernel of truth in there. But it didn't talk about it after the fact, like it was something that did happen, so who knows. But there was a little bit of a thing where his mother had mentioned earlier to Avery that Emmett doesn't like turtles. And it's... let's be honest, this is a trauma response why he doesn't like turtles. When he was a kid, he was riding his bike and accidentally rode his bike over a friend's turtle or somebody's turtle and like crushed their shell. And so he just doesn't like turtles. And I'm like, it's a little bit of a trauma response. It's not that he doesn't like turtles. It's that, he looks at a turtle and thinks about the one that he like accidentally tried to kill. I guess it didn't say that he killed him, just that he crushed his shell. I don't know enough about turtles to know if like that was the end of the turtle or not. But then Avery tells this other person that his favorite animal is turtles, and then Emma's just like, yeah, we'll play along with it. So the newlywed game kind of thing, like people don't realize that it's not a thing, or that, because they don't want people to know that they're fake dating. And this girl just happens to run a sanctuary for turtles because, like I mentioned, it's set on an island. And he kind of gets manhandled into coming and helping and deal with this turtle rehabilitation thing. And I was like, Avery took it a step too far. Like, that was not cool. Like, the story. And this is one thing I feel like to be like, oh, they don't like dogs, or oh, they don't like turtles, and it just be like he doesn't like turtles. But she specifically knows he doesn't like turtles because this specific situation happened. And so that I feel like, because she knows the reasoning behind why, and it's not just like a dislike or something like that, I don't like that aspect. So right now it's kind of sitting at like a 4 stars. I'm definitely enjoying Emmett's character more than Avery's right now, but we'll see. We'll see when they actually go to the turtle rehabilitation thing, if it's a moment for Avery to kind of step up and apologize to Emmett and kind of really assist him and help him get through whatever they're going to be tasked with there. So that's what I'm planning on reading tonight. As for my audio book, when I was working on things when I got home, I did manage, I'm reading The Lord I Left by Scarlett Peckham. Still. I say that. I started it yesterday. I don't know. I'm 70% of the way in. Now, I kind of knew going into this that there might be like some religious tones to this because of what Henry has done in the previous books. but it's a little much for my enjoyment. That's just something I just don't enjoy. I'm not super religious, and Henry himself isn't like very pushy about religion, and he is very open about, like, you know, in his congregation, he's very open and, you know, willing to allow people to come in and to learn and to save themselves, so to speak. But it seems like every other person in the book who is a religious member or a part of a different congregation has like all of these really strict, really absurd rules, and it annoys me, because I'm just like, these are why, like, everybody else in this book is why I have issues with organized religion, and I'm just like, ugh, they make me angry, and they're supposed to make you angry because they're, you know, or they're supposed to be like the bad guys. They're people that we don't like because they are against our hero and our heroine in different ways. So I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It's probably going to be a 3-star unless something crazy happens. We did have one kiss from them, and then she jerks him off at one point because they have to huddle together for warmth, because once again they finally leave his house and they're headed to her mother's house, and you know, she's completely stressed out the entire time that her mother is potentially dying, if not already. Like, she's so worried that they're going to show up and her mother's going to be dead. But then there's an ice storm, so they find some, like, abandoned windmill place, and they stay there, and then they huddle together for warmth, and then he gets turned on, and he's celibate, and then she ends up jacking him off because he hurt his hand so they could get into this derelict building. And then she gets there, and it was all a surprise and her mother is perfectly fine. And I was just like, I looked at Cheese because she was hanging out with me in the kitchen, and I looked at her and I was like, Mama would be pissed. I was like, if I was, especially like, she had a moment of relief, and then she was just in utter shock and bewilderment because, you know, she's kind of being forced into this relationship by her mother to accept some guy's proposal who was a friend or an apprentice of her father's, and her father always liked him and kind of hoped that they would get married. But she's just like, that's not what I want to do. Like, that's not what I want. And then she kind of is like in shock about the whole situation, and then tells him what she really does, and that she's not training to be a governess, but that the governess is a misnomer for this whipping club. And then she runs away. And Henry goes after her. We also find out that she's very, like, against religion because during her father's funeral, she wanted to play the organ. Her father was an organ maker, and she, you know, is really skilled at the organ and finds a lot of peace and comfort in playing the organ, and wanted to play it at her father's funeral. And the vicar told her that basically the fact that she does performances and she plays the organ means she's, I don't know, the new coming of Eve, basically. I can't remember the term that he called her, but it's like basically like she's this horrible person and she's ruining her life, and, you know, the new coming of Eve, so to speak, or just giving in to temptation and that kind of stuff. So I'm just like, these people, a woman playing music, especially when her father is in, like, first of all, it's weird because society wants women to learn to play, like, the piano and stuff. Like, that's a thing that women in higher society do. Like, they learn embroidery and they learn to play music and they put on these musicals. So it's just weird that these lower class people, this daughter of a person who makes organs, oh my gosh, she knows how to play the organ. How blasphemous. So it's that silly stuff where I'm just like, really? This seems just a little over the top, and how overly weirdly strict they are on some things. And I just, as you can tell, it's not something that I enjoy. So yeah, it's probably sitting at a 3-star right now. I mean, it's well written. It's just not my thing, you know, but I'm listening. We're trucking through. I am kind of liking the emotional relationship that they're building between each other, but it still feels like it's almost too slow. And so I feel like them really coming to terms and really reaching those moments of love between each other, because I'm assuming they're going to say they love each other by the end of the book, with only 30% left. I don't know if it will be enough for me on their emotional relationship, if that makes sense. But we'll see. We'll see. I think it's just like just over 2 hours left. So I will probably finish it tomorrow. Maybe I'll get a chance to listen to it at work. We shall see. But that's it book-wise. So I do have a couple unboxings that I wanted to go through with you. So the first is Hello Lovely was recently doing like a warehouse super sale. I'll link them down below. I don't know if the sale's still going on, but I just looked to see if they had anything I'd be interested in. I used to get quite a bit of their merch, and then I kind of got away from it because it just wasn't quite... It got away from the kind of stuff that I was wanting from them. And most of the stuff I have like on my wish list from them is like stickers and things like that. But because they were doing the super sale, I went through and I got some of the stickers and small things that were on sale. So I thought I'd unbox that with you. So here are the stickers that I got. Not all of these were on sale, but because I was placing an order, and then I had points saved up, so I ended up basically just paying for like shipping for all of this because I had points saved that I just turned into a gift card thing. So we have a Spice Queen Hot Books Only. Super cute hot sauce sriracha bottle. And then Emotional Support Kindle. Just cute. And then Romance Reader Nutrition Facts. I think that's super cute. So serving size is 1 book lover, servings per shelf, as many as possible. And then the percent of daily value. So, and then it has a star. It says percent daily value is based on the need to escape reality in TBR piles. So endless TBRs is 200%. Real feelings for fictional characters is 3000%. Book binge is 24/7. Books are better is 100,000%. Standing books and authors is 375%. Just one more chapter is 100%. Always booked is 320%. In need of a caffeine is also 24/7. In love with the villain is 190%. And more spice please is 5,000,000%. Okay. So there's those. And then I couldn't remember if I got these ones before. I should have gone through my history, but if I have, then I'll save them, maybe do a giveaway at some point. But I know for sure I have the first batch, but I couldn't remember if I had the second batch for season 2 of Bridgerton stickers. So we've got the 2 Sharma sisters and Newton, and then Anthony and Kate. I know I got the first batch of season 1 Bridgerton stickers. I just couldn't remember if I got these ones. So I just went, and these, I know the Bridgerton ones were on sale, so I went ahead and grabbed those. And then they had, I didn't just get stickers. I also got a couple other things, so I will show you those. They had this notebook, and I've gotten a couple of notebooks from Hello Lovely before when I used to get their other book boxes. So I got the Happily Ever After or Else. It's just a little tiny notebook, but I like the feeling of these and they're not too much. So I was thinking of doing a notebook specifically for the romance readathon, maybe, because they were, I think I saw that they wanted to do it, make it like a yearly thing, and I could do a digital one, but I might also do a paper one instead. But I thought that might be cute, or use it as a book journal for something. But that one was also on sale. And then there is a tote bag that I hadn't gotten from them. And I got the tote bag as well. Oh, that's cute. I didn't realize what color it is. But it's this really pretty like heather blue with some like purple tones. It's almost like a jeans tweedy kind of feel. And it's find me in the pages of a good book. So I have a couple of their other totes and I think they're super cute. I think they're good made. I mean, you don't want to overload them too much. This is kind of a thin fabric, but I think they're perfect. I like to use these for project bags, or if I'm going over to a friend's house, instead of taking my big purse, I'll throw like my wallet and my Kindle and just a couple of things in one of these little totes, and I love it. Oh, and I guess this bag is made out of recycled cotton. Cool. So that's even better. Cool. So there is that. Then the other unboxing thing, I did back a dice set on Kickstarter from the Evergreen Burrow, and I wasn't going to unbox it for you, but then I remembered what the theme is, and these are bookworm dice. So I just wanted to open it up with you. There should be 6 items in here if I remember correctly from my survey, but I just got a certain pledge, and then I did get an extra set of dice in my add-ons, which are these, and they are just clear resin dice. Let's see if I can find one that's easily visible. And they have confetti on the inside shaped like dinosaurs. I don't know if you can tell. So if you look at the top here, this blue one, I think is an Ankylosaurus, an Ankylosaurus or whatever. The one that's like got, or you know what? That's not his tail. That's a Brontosaurus or a Brachiosaurus or something like that. But so there's confetti in there. You can see the confetti. It might be hard to see exactly what it is, but they're all dinosaur shaped. And I was like, oh my gosh, little dinosaur dice. So, you know, I don't really back dice too often, but I thought like when I saw that this was offered as an add-on, I was like, yeah, I gotta get the dinosaur dice. There we go. Let's see if you will focus. Maybe. It doesn't want to. But they're super cute and I love them already. Okay, so some of this, I can't even remember what level I did, but I know I got the ones that had a couple of the extra items like the bookmarks and stuff, and then they also had some stuff that was unlocked as I can't remember what it's called, extras or whatever. So here, oh, okay. Here is a really cool holographic sticker of a bookworm, and worm as like WYRM. Super cute. And then, oh, I'm guessing this is a bookmark. I'm guessing this is the bookmark. It is a laser cut dragon. And then on the bottom, oh, tiny little books. That's super cute. So then, okay, cute. I'm guessing that's the bookmark. And then this, I'll link Evergreen Burrow. I don't know what is available on their website, but I will link their website down below, so you can see. And here's their logo too. Handcrafted geekery. So this, oh, that's right. There's a little miniature stand that you could get. So here is the bookworm, and then it comes with a base. And then there was also like a free one-shot that was just digital only. So I do have that as well. That's super cute. Okay, and then it also came with a enamel pin. So here is another bookworm or book dragon. Super cute. This is a lot bigger than I thought it'd be. And then here is a little postcard art card. Super cute. And then there's their socials and all that. And then, oh my gosh, instead of having the like crinkle paper, there's like cut up book paper. Let's see something. Smeagol, something to nice hobbits. Hobbits go home. Something go to the land of Mordor. So this is all stuff from Lord of the Rings. I think they said they got damaged copies that were like slated to be destroyed and stuff like that. And so they didn't like buy new copies of books and destroy them. If I remember correctly. But here is the dice box. Bookworm dice. And if you probably couldn't tell, and then we've got the same bookworm. It's the gold foil embossed. So here it's a magnetic closure box. And it's super cute because it looks like a book. I love it. Because see, it has like the lines. So it looks kind of like, it's hard to tell, but there's like lines on it. So it looks like paper. Super cool. But let's look at the dice. So these have the same thing. Bits and pieces of The Hobbit. Or maybe not The Hobbit, just Lord of the Rings. I think it's specifically Lord of the Rings, but... So on the inside, I don't know if you can tell. Maybe... Let me get one that doesn't have quite as many facets. So... come out of the bag, please. This is taking longer than I thought. Okay, maybe the D4? We shall see on the D4. If you can tell, but on the inside there is like little strips of paper that are all like curled up. Maybe you can see it better on the D6. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can see the little strips of paper on the inside. That's what the weird, like, I mean, it doesn't want to focus on him, but that's what that, and see there you can see the little black marks. That's the words on it. Isn't it so cool? And there is also glitter in this too. Pretty. These are sharp edge dice too. So it looks like this is a 6 die set. Typically there's 7, so there's no percentile die. It's just the D10. The dinosaur one did come with the 7. But I'm A-okay with that. So super cool. I love it. I can't wait to get it displayed over in my gaming area. And then the final thing is I ordered a sleeve, a book sleeve from Jen. I will link her Etsy shop down below. She has these pretty bags. And I am planning on making another purchase once she does her Throne of Glass book sleeves with the Throne of Glass fabric. But I just had to get this one for my Kindle because it was super cute. Ah! It's even cuter in person. It's Grogu. I love this fabric. It is super cute. And then it's got this like almost heathered green yellow on the inside. I like that. I like the color combination. And where's my Kindle? Ooh. It's a nice, snug fit. I like it though. I love the snug fit. Boop. Perfect. And it's just to the top, which is great. It fits with my sleeve or with my case on it. I love this. I cannot wait to get a Throne of Glass one because Jen got me hooked on Sarah J. Maas. So I love it. I will link her shop down below. Super, super cute. And already I have cat hair on it because I'm covered in cat hair on my pants. But super cute. Look, and he's got the little bugs that he wants to eat and the frogs that he's trying to eat. And then here's the little ball that he constantly steals that's like off the control lever. As you can tell, I do know The Mandalorian, but super cute. I love it, and I love this fabric. So there's that. Let's do, as I throw stuff on the floor, let's do the quest calendar real quick. So we were able to kind of go shopping while we are exploring the city. So let's see what today brings. Ooh, okay. It looks like we might have found somebody that might potentially have some information. Interesting looking. Psst, you hear someone calling to you from behind a vendor's shop. I overheard you asking around about someone. I know who you're talking about. I'm a messenger and I've run messages and packages for Andy, but everything costs money around here, even information. So A, ask nicely, or B, demand the information. Well, we're going to ask nicely because that's who I am. Okay, so if your virtue is 5 or more, gain a +2 bonus to your roll. Once again, we are at positive 10. Okay, should we use one of my new dice? All right, so this is Charisma, Reminder, Persuasive. So our Charisma is a +1. But we do not have Persuasive. Let's use the new Bookworm die. And these are like larger size. As you can tell, here's the normal size D20. So these are definitely larger sized, which is fun. And you probably, you can see the difference here, how sharp the faces are. And then these are like rounded edge. So that's what I meant when I said they have a sharp edge. You can see it's like a very... like it doesn't hurt or anything, but you can definitely feel the facets when you're holding the die a lot more. It just doesn't feel like as rounded. Let's see what the first roll. Roll well for me, little guy. Ooh. Okay, 19. Not bad for a first roll. So we get +1 from our charisma, so 20 plus our +2 bonus, so 22. Okay, if the result is 15 or more, the messenger smiles and is quite friendly while chatting with you. She still insists on getting a small payment. You will need to pay 2 credits. Oh no, 2 credits. Okay, see narrative. Okay. As I mentioned, I used to run packages for Andy as a messenger. I would mostly just get her groceries and run errands. She never came into the city. I wouldn't call her a recluse, though. She was quite friendly and always seemed excited to see me. She was really nice, shy, but sweet. I think she was scared of people. She didn't want me talking about her. I got sick bad 1 month and couldn't make the runs. I almost didn't make it if it weren't for her and her magic touch. I always thought she had a gift. She could fix anything you gave her, including me. I had a guy named Tristan cover my route that month. Real handsome and young fella. It must have been love at first sight. They spent a lot of time together after that. She wound up pregnant, and I tell you, I never saw a happier person. It was sad when Tristan died. He got into a skirmish with the Gearhorns, one of the local gangs, and took a pistol blast to the head. He never got to see his child born. Andy left the planet soon after. I haven't heard from her since. If you're looking for her place, I must admit that I'd never actually been to it. She would always just have me meet her out in a clearing in the jungle east of here. Good luck, and if you see her, tell her Cat says hello. Well, that just suddenly turned depressing. Okay, I'm going to stop talking to you. Another half-hour clip because I just can't stop myself. So, tomorrow's Friday, though. We're almost done with this week. Happy Friday tomorrow. I hope you have a good Friday, and we'll see what I have reading-wise to update you on tomorrow. Have a great night. Happy Friday. It is about 5:15. I just got home. I'm filming this a little earlier than I typically do, but I want to get things wrapped up because tonight, starting at 6 o'clock my time, is the Buzzing About Romance Summer Reading Challenge Slumber Party. So it's going from 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. tomorrow night. It'll be an overnighter thing. I probably won't be able to stay awake for all of it, but we will see. I'm excited to just kind of chat with everybody and talk books and all the things. I participated in some of the live show stuff that they've done before, and it's always a blast. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that to see what happens. So what I wanted to do is just kind of quickly touch base on what I read. Last night during one of the reading sprints for Little Cafe Reading-thon, I did finish The Lord I Left by Scarlett Peckham. I'm going to give this 3 stars. I was just kind of like, meh at the end, and I didn't really need the steam, and I know that we did get the scene that we kind of learned. I mentioned it earlier, the weird kink fantasy thing he had, and it is a nod to a biblical scene, I guess, but I don't know. I was just kind of like, meh. And not just even for the religious stuff, just their romance. You know, they finally go all the way together. I don't think I mentioned this, but Henry is a virgin hero. So we have a virgin hero with a more experienced heroine. And they, you know, only one room at the inn situation, and then they can't just fight. They don't really. Well, okay, there was this really weird scene where Alice was super turned on and wanted to get off, and so she was going to take care of herself before Henry came back, and she uses one of the bedposts and inside of her, and I was like, girl, you have no idea where that bedpost has been, how clean it is. Like, that was a little much for me. It just, and I get things weren't as sanitary back then, but even then, that's just a little much. Like, you could have just rubbed against it, but like, that was just a little more for me. I was just grossed out by it, let's be honest. But of course, you know, Henry walks in, and then they both kind of get each other off, and then they finally go all the way. And then of course Henry is like, we're gonna get married, and you know, typical historical romance hero thing. He doesn't say I love you, he doesn't say I want to be married to you. He's like, no, we slept together, so that means we're getting married now. So then she denies him. So, and then, you know, he's completely changed his stance, and he writes the letter basically saying there needs to be a union formed for sex workers, kind of a situation, you know, which gets him ridiculed by everyone in his life. Then, oh, he writes a letter to Alice, kind of being like, I really like you, I'm in love with you, I really want to continue our relationship however you're comfortable, and I'm not expecting you to change who you are or that kind of a thing. I want you as you are. But of course, you know, Alice gets in a carriage accident. I did not expect it to be hit by lightning. And then it also talks about how her arm is at a weird angle, or the way it was described, I was like, and then when she's pulled out of the wreckage of the carriage, it says her arm makes a popping sound. I legit thought her arm had popped off. Like, I thought, because it says like something like it's hanging weird or hanging by a thread or something funky. And I thought like her arm was like this close to just, she's now an amputee. But no, I guess her arm is just broken. So I was like, okay. Like, I'm glad we didn't quite suddenly get that gruesome. But I was like, we should have described it slightly different when the carriage accident happened. Because, no joke, that she's like, somebody grabs her ankles and pulls her out of the wreckage, and she says her arm pops. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she doesn't have an arm anymore. But she does. It's just broken. But because of this, she's, you know, has to heal and wait until she can travel because it was a bad break. And so she never gets Henry's letter. And then Henry's all sad because he thinks she doesn't want him anymore. So, you know, just kind of stereotypical, and then they get together, and it's their HEA, and I don't know if I 100% trust their HEA. I don't know if, I don't like the fact that Henry definitely had a lot more stringent belief system, but I feel like Alice could have also bended a little bit on her end. And I feel like Henry was the one who had to completely reform. But Alice isn't perfect either. And so I don't know. I didn't like that Henry was the one that basically had to do everything. Which is kind of becoming a theme for me. So, yeah, I gave it 3 stars. It was fine. I finished the series. Now that I'm talking to you, I did not write down what I'm applying things to. So let me just pull my book really quick. I was just like, I gotta get it filmed. Okay, so it does not work for Romanceopoly. For Gildathon, this is the last book in a series, so I will get the 15 points plus the ones in the story. I finished Summer Reading Challenge. I have no more reading book challenge prompts for Summer Reading Challenge. For Ripped Bodice, it doesn't have the 2 I have left in that. This is great. Okay, so 2023 Summer Musical Tour. Let me just glance. I'm doing pretty good on this one. Okay, so I'm going to do this to a Maroon 5, the 2023 tour, for the prompt to read a book with a character that's marooned or stranded somewhere, and they both get kind of stranded because of snow a couple of times. So I will apply it to that one and get it written down in my book. Then for Read the Season, I did keep notes of what I was reading and where I was potentially applying them on this. So that would be The Lord I Love, Scarlet Peckham, and It's the Secrets. Okay, so holiday number 3 for the letter S. I usually don't do this quickly, so I'm like, oh. Okay, and then Little Cafe Readathon. I don't know if there's flowers on the cover. Let's see. Okay, I will apply it to Team Kiwi's Kiwi Apple Smoothie, which is set in a country you want to visit. So, I would love to visit England for sure, one day. Okay, so there is that. Now, I did read a little bit more of That Kind of Guy by Stephanie Archer. I'm 45-ish% of the way through. It's suddenly now a fake engagement. Not just fake dating. And it was kind of really cute the way he convinces her. He's just like, single pane windows. And she's like, what? And he's like, all of the windows in the restaurant are single pane, not double pane. It will increase your energy efficiency and help cut down on both winter and summer utility costs. And he's just like, fake engagement with me, and I will give the restaurant double pane windows. And so she's like, okay, fine. And so she capitulates. And then, you know, everybody's happy for them for the engagement. And then his mother and their friends and family start talking about when are they getting married, and every time she gives like a different response, and she really doesn't want to get married. It seems like it's some sort of leftover trauma situation from her parents' divorce, and it seems like her dad kind of ran out on her mom and basically left her mom to cover everything, both financially and just in life. And so she really does not want to get married because of that. And now it's fake marriage. Like they're gonna pretend that they got married at like the courthouse or something, but not really get married. But I feel like they're gonna end up getting married for real, and it'll just be like a marriage of convenience with plans to divorce in the future or something like that. So who knows? But to get her to like convinced to do the fake marriage situation, he's like, there's some decks or some my gosh, I just lost the word. Some of the wood planks on the deck, patio eating area at the restaurant, have some water damage, and so they don't send anybody there. And he's just like, I'll repair that portion of the deck. And she's like, no, if we're gonna pretend to get married, I want a new deck. And so they bicker about it a little bit, and then he finally's like, fine, I'll give you a new deck if you get married to me for fake. So we'll see. It hasn't actually happened yet, but I have a feeling it'll end up being a real marriage, with it then turning into like marriage of convenience, or like with the plans to like divorce in the future or something like that. But it's cute. I'm enjoying it so far. Obviously I haven't read very much, and I know I feel like I'm talking really fast because I'm trying to get through this stuff. But I also picked up another book last night because after I finished my audiobook, I was going to go back to e-reading during the final reading sprint I did. And I just wasn't feeling, I was like, I need something not contemporary. So what did I do? I checked out this on KU. I don't know why I did this one. I recently read Morning Glory Milking Farm. This is a recent release. This is a Blue Ribbon romance. It's called Book 1.5. But basically, this is a retelling, or not a retelling, but it's Morning Glory Milking Farm from Rourke's, the Minotaur's perspective, because the first book is all in Violet's perspective. So this is kind of interesting. I'm only 14% of the way into it. And see, this is what happens when I like have complete free reign and don't know what to pick up. I pick up random stuff, which is fine. But it started a lot farther back in their timeline, so I've only really seen him sign up for the Morning Glory Milking Farm for the first time, which I think is several months, maybe it's longer, before he meets Violet, and just kind of getting the setup of him first going to Morning Glory Milking Farm, and now where I stopped reading, he's there for his first like normal visit to be milked. So we'll see how it goes. It's a shorter book, so that's why I was like, I want something shorter. I was like, maybe something monstery. I was like, I need something a little bit different right now. We'll see. I might try to pick up an audiobook this weekend. Who knows? But I have all of these other books I could pick up, but I picked up this instead. So there we go. That's it for book news. So let's do the quest calendar and then we can wrap this up. So yesterday we met this person who kind of told us a little bit about Andy when she used to live on this planet. So Okay, we're out in that field, she let us know, so we're gonna try to track down. Look at the little waterfall. Pretty. So we're gonna try to track down where Andy used to stay out here. You take the Karnak out to find Andy's home somewhere in the jungle. Most of the jungle looks the same from the air, so you need to fly close to the treetops. Navigate around the jungle, visit any numbered areas as you choose, resolve each area you visit before you choose your next. So typical map functions. So we're going to go 1, 3, 4, 2. That looks like a good route to me. So 1 is down here and the waterfall. 3, 4, 2. So we will end at 2 potentially. Okay. I need to look at the back of this. So area number 1, there's a beautiful lagoon with a waterfall that might be a likely place for someone to live since there is fresh water nearby. You land to look around and find a primitive tribe of people that are not happy with you being there. Some of the children are fascinated with your equipment and start rummaging around through your pockets. Okay. So A is threaten them to leave you alone, or B is convince them to let you go. B for sure. So this is a charisma roll, reminder persuasive. So, oh, I should mention, now that I pick up my dice, you know the bookworm dice I did yesterday? And I was like, oh, that's weird. There's no percentile. There is a percentile. It was still in the little plastic bag. It just didn't come out. So it is a full set of 7 dice. I was like, oh, look, there is a percentile. And I remembered because I picked up this. So let's see. We get a +1. And that is a 13. So 14. Most of the kids leave. Okay, so between 8 and 14, most of the kids leave you alone. But others continue to dig through your things. Reduce your credits by 2. I'm not going to waste my reroll. That's fine. We have more than enough credits. It's only 2. And we have 362. Now 360. Okay, on to area number 3. You fly over a clearing among an inconspicuous group of trees. You recall that Cat the messenger would meet Andy in a clearing. This is the most likely place where Andy's hideout would be located. You may stop looking, or you can visit the other areas before coming back here. We might as well scope out the area just in case. So on to area number 4, which was kind of up by that tree. The tallest tree in the jungle doesn't seem like a good hiding place for anyone. It would be too obvious. You still decide to get off the ship and look around. As you explore around high up on the treetop, you step on a moss that grows on the branches and kick up some pollen. You begin to feel nauseous. So this is a constitution roll, and our constitution is a +1. And that is a 18, so 19 total. If the result is 15 or more, you cope with the feeling of nausea and make it back to the ship. Okay, great. All right, so the final area is area number 2, which was back up by that rock. So a small rocky cliff area sits in the middle of the forest. This might provide good shelter for a home. You get out of the ship and climb around on the cliff looking for signs of Andy. Strength reminder, athlete. So we do have athlete, and our strength is the -1, so we get a +1. Natural 20, so 21. If the result is 15 or more, you find no signs of a shelter of any kind. Great. Okay, so I wasn't sure if we might find something fun or treasure or something, or, get a bonus if there's potential people hanging out in the jungle or whatever. But, all right, back to area number 3. So, perfect. Once again, we started down here at the waterfall. This is where the actual hideout is. There was the big tree. There's the cliff faces, and then we came back here. So, that is where we will pick back up on next week's vlog, and I think that's all I have for you. So hey, look at this, we're under 20 minutes, which is great. I know this week is going to be another long week, so thank you so much for sticking through it if you're still here with me. If you are, definitely leave me a comment down below. Let me know how the rest of your July is going to go, or how it was, I guess, by the time this goes up, how the end of your July was, if you did anything fun to celebrate the end of July. If not, and you'd just like to leave me an emoji, leave me something tree related, like a leaf or a tree or a plant of some sort for searching in the jungle. But otherwise, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all soon with another video.